My dad has kind of become a diva with the days of the week that he works. If he's scheduled for one day, he says, why not 2 this week? If he's scheduled for 2, he's like, oh, 1 would have been nice. If he's scheduled on Tuesday, he's like, oh, so just Tuesday? If he's scheduled on Monday, Wednesday, why no Tuesdays? It's just, you can't win with this guy.
Well, it used to be Greg Cody Tuesdays. That was like a thing, and now it's like willy-nilly. So I'm just trying to figure out, trying to read
That's
the
Wednesday.
temp, you know.
Wednesday is willy-nilly.
It's wild willy-nilly.
Tuesday used to be Greg Cody Tuesday.
Yeah, what happened?
I'm convinced, I don't know if this is true, Mike, you will have to tell me what is true or not true of the Stugotz negotiations, that Stugotz negotiated into his contract that he could just skip the days when the Knicks embarrass him.
He won't be in much.
Because he was supposed to be in today. He's going to be in tomorrow, but I assume that he's not in today because he's just trying to avoid what will be a hysterically laughing day, the biggest day of the Heat season. The basketball season concluded for Heat fans with Game 6 in Indiana. That concludes our interest in anything to do with basketball, and understanding that OKC will win the championship easily from here.
I feel like this is one of the rare times I feel a little young in the show. Like, not young in age, but young in show experience. I don't think I ever witnessed strident Knick fan Stugotz. I've missed that era completely. So when you're talking about, oh, he's avoiding the tears, I'm like, was Stugotz even like the Knicks?
He was pretty strident during this series to a frustrating end, because every time they would suffer a loss and he was scheduled on the show, he's like, oh, no, the Knicks are better. I know that we're better. And now we don't actually get to have the satisfaction of him realizing that, no, you're not better than the Indiana Pacers. It's a bummer.
It's pretty clear that they weren't. That Game 6 was...
It was clear that they weren't when he was saying that as a defense, but I don't know if it was coping or just not wanting to give people the pound of flesh.
They when they lost the first 2 games, there's an argument, much as Boston had the argument, like, look, we were up. Sure, they beat us, but we were up. They're like, we outplayed them for most of the game, and then they had a hot little streak, and that was cute. Like, you could still convince yourself of that in the early parts. I don't think it's so far-fetched, even though they did
that
lose.
Series should have gone 7 games. Like, one of the most miraculous shots in the history of all of sports went in.
Yeah, I also don't want to minimize it by just saying the shot. Like, Indiana did so much, so many improbable things to put themselves in position for one of the more improbable shots.
It kind of sucks for Aaron Nesmith. I know we talked about this last week. Like, he's the one that won Game 1. Not like Halliburton hit a shot to tie.
Understood.
But Nesmith was the one that went crazy.
Wasn't a 10-point lead with a minute left?
They were up 9 with 52 seconds left.
Like, that's a game. That series should have gone 7 games. We should have been able to eat on a live stream tomorrow night the Knicks losing at home.
That Game 7 in Madison Square Garden. I'm bummed that we're missing out on that. But we said it hours after that shot went in. People are going to forget. They trailed in overtime. People are going to forget the path that they got to make that shot. All they're going to remember is that shot. It's kind of like the Ray Allen shot. No, they played an entire game after the Ray Allen shot.
Can I make a confession here? I love NBA basketball. The playoffs have been amazing. I can't wait for the finals. I'm glad we didn't get a Game 7. I get 4 nights of just this right here. Like, what's on Disney Plus tonight? Oh, Paramount Plus. Oh, Mobland finale. I get to live a life and not have to worry about, okay, well, this is what the Knicks need to do and da-da-da, and be kind of consumed by
Same. Dude, this weekend the Panthers were off. It was nice.
Isn't it nice? It was so great. There was nothing that I needed to pay attention to.
Yeah. By the way, Mobland, that's a killer show. Oh, I mean, literally.
Literally, yeah.
I love that. I just discovered it and immediately fell in love with it. It's great. Oh my gosh.
Love Mobland.
It's fantastic.
Why are you being such a diva, Cody? Cody's been this since the newspaper days. When he'd get sent to Buffalo with the Dolphins, he's like, why do I got to go to Buffalo? When he wouldn't get sent, he'd be like, I should be going. Why am I not allowed?
I know. Yeah, the low point was when I started thinking that my column should be played out front above Edwin Pope's. That was really a low point for me, and I regret it to this day because I was wrong. But here's the thing. Greg Cody Tuesdays used to be a thing, right? Like I would say 80% of the references I get when I get a cameo request or something, cha-ching, is we love you on Greg Cody Tuesdays. That's our favorite day of the week.
Right.
And what happened?
What happened?
What happened to Greg Cody Tuesdays?
Where did it go?
GCT
Added to it.
used to be a thing.
We've added to it.
Yeah? Okay.
Back in my day.
All right. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying that GCTs used to be a thing, and now it's been erased.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chatting the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat in the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but minds keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I am bumming that Stugotz is not here today. No offense to Amin and Greg. I'm very happy to see them. But I wanted to see how it would feel to be obnoxious New York fan today after losing to Indiana and getting ransacked by Indiana. Like that, those turnover differences made Indiana feel like they're OKC. Just being able to play in the open court like that. But before we get to all of the games here, things are moving faster in the playoffs. Our local team is in the Stanley Cup final. We will get to that in a moment. But we didn't properly celebrate around here when the Boston Celtics season came to an end. I forgot to use any number of the devices in our arsenal to unleash upon Boston Celtics fans. But today is a day to enjoy the misery of New York. The loudest New York there's been in basketball in 25 years falls as a favorite. Falls as a favorite on its face when you did the hard thing. You beat Boston. Cleveland got taken out. And so what you did is, for the first time in 25 years, Knicks fans dared to hope. So when it collapses like that against the team you were favored to beat, a team you were better than all season, now you get to a point where OKC, the best record since the start of the year, are OKC and Indiana. We know this, right? 53-13, OKC, Indiana's 46-18. So they've both been very good since January 1st. But I want to celebrate here, and Stugotz isn't giving me the right. This is delayed. This is a delayed celebration. This is the suffering of Boston fans. Find somebody who would represent New York so that we can just have Ben Stiller. Is it Ben Stiller's
Where's
face?
Sam? We need that pound of flesh.
That's some tears. You want Stugotz's tears. I don't think Stugotz's tears will be good. Sam Morrill's tears? Oh, my God.
I don't know, Stugotz. You have to differentiate. The New York Jets beat the life out of Stugotz, but he honestly was putting all his emotion into the Knicks. I think he really bought. This is finally the year for the New York Knicks.
I don't buy it.
I buy it.
I don't buy it either. At times, I question: does he actually watch Knicks basketball? Is this all a put on? Does he even really care? Is he capable of giving us the suffering if he really didn't sweat it all that much?
It'd be great if he were here to talk about it. He will not be today, unfortunately, contractually, but he will be here tomorrow. God bless football coming soon to a podcast near you. Billy, what do you think?
Stugotz Tuesday.
Taking inventory of the studio, and I noticed the God Bless Football tile disappeared, and it was replaced by a Nothing Personal with David Sampson tile, which is interesting.
Significant.
Congratulations on your very busy weekend of destroying God Bless Football with David Sampson.
Is that the name of the podcast?
Yeah. According to Awful Announcing. Well, via Stugotz directly.
Oh, Awful Announcing. What happened? You're going to have to inform me. I'm not informed here.
Oh, you didn't see it? Awful Announcing runs with the story. Stugotz blames David Sampson and Dan Le Batard for God Bless Football no longer being a part of Metal Arc's lineup.
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, the tile is gone and it's replaced with Nothing Personal.
Well,
so.
that was what Dan was doing all weekend. He physically removed the tile with David Sampson.
Did he throw the tile?
So wait a minute. I'm being blamed. I'm being blamed.
That's right.
For
Who else?
That's right.
For
Who-
what?
who
God
if
bless
not you?
football. For God bless football being independent and owned by Stugotz.
That's right. For him negotiating that, you were to blame.
Yeah, forced him out.
Clear as day. Damn shame what happened.
Yeah, it really is. Terrible.
Mike Ryan mentioned the Ray Allen shot and the idea that people forget that there had to be an overtime after that and then another game after that. Some of the greatest examples of what Mike is talking about there is that Many people don't remember that there had to be another game after Carlton Fisk's home run, that there had to be another game after Bill Buckner's error, that there had to be another game after the United States hockey team beat Russia in order to win the gold medal. What are the examples of that you can think of any more than the ones I just mentioned, of something in history that happened that was so seismic that you don't remember what came after it. You just remember the moment before it? Because I think Halliburton's shot ought to qualify, because I believe those teams were relatively evenly matched. I thought that should be a 7-game series. I don't think it's ridiculous to think that the New York Knicks could go into Indiana and win a game, and Indiana could go into New York and win a Game 7 as well. But we're going to be denied that. I was expecting New York to lose at home in 7 because of how inconsistent they were at home all season and because of how unafraid Halliburton just generally seems, even as Siakam wins quietly, right? Is it possible to say quietly wins Eastern Conference Finals MVP for putting up 30-point game after 30-point game, and no one will be talking about Siakam after this series? He will be 3rd or 4th among the things you talk about.
I wanted to get Amin's thoughts on that because it was a close vote. It was 5-4. Siakam gets it. It looked like Halliburton maybe expected to get it from his reaction.
There's no maybe.
Or was that a put on?
So at first, I said, oh, my God, he thought he was going to get it. Then I remembered when we went to the screening for Friendship, they had a whole panel before, and there's a big buildup. And I can't remember whether it was you or maybe it was Carlos who said, our next guy is really big on social media and movies and stuff like that. Please give it up for. And as a joke, I did this right here. I did one. And then they called up the kid, superhero. What's his name? Superman?
Soups.
Soups. There you go. Soups. Then I was like, oh.
You are flirting with a penalty right now.
Well, I don't know.
Finish a thought. Finish a thought as a communicator.
So I was communicating with him. So I sat back down. I did the little thing. And then they did it again. And I was like, this one, me. Oh, nope. And I sat back down. It's funny. It's like a funny. I love doing that whenever they're doing the guy that this couldn't have happened without. Do a little one of
so
these.
You think Halliburton knew?
I think he knew. I don't think that was a genuine.
Dude, he has his arm around someone, and then as they're like, and the winner, and he takes it off, steps forward, like, all right, this is my time. Sorry, man. Sorry, guy, I had my arm around. I need to go get my award.
It's a funny move, man.
I'm fairly certain there's a field producer telling them beforehand who wins the award so they can make sure that they're alert and ready to step into the mark.
Yep.
Billy, what are your thoughts here? Does anyone have any thoughts here? These are two very different things. If Halliburton is doing this as a joke, it's one kind of funny. If he's not doing it as a joke, it's funnier.
I mean, he's probably trying to be funny. I think he mimics everyone's celebrations. I think he just likes being a funny guy.
All right. But as it relates to Siakam, I don't know if we have the sound of Siakam being testy with Greg Doyle, because this is Siakam's worst public moment.
I was there.
Siakam, you were there for that?
I was behind Greg Doyle.
All right. So we'll get to that in a second. But first, Roy, when are you going to pay your penalty here of having to stick an entire bag of Big League Chew in your mouth over the show here?
I'm going to do it right now.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
All right, so it's the whole bag.
Man, this is not good
There's
started.
more?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, this is just the start. It's a giant bag. Now, Chris Cody tried to do this and failed.
I don't believe that.
He failed.
He failed at putting something in his mouth.
Well, he swallowed it. So.
Oh.
It's a lot of Big League Chew. I don't think it's safe to do the entire bag in your mouth at once, is it? I believe that whole bag will make it very, very difficult for Roy to speak after that.
I like the idea that you don't think it's safe, like Roy's going to open.
So now a second person is doing it.
This is a choking hazard.
I'd worry about his teeth. Do we have a dentist on call?
Oh, this is a dentist's dream. I feel like dentists give you bad advice so that they return business. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you should brush 3 times a day. But really, you're just brushing the enamel off of your teeth. Like, I think that they give you advice that damages your teeth so that you come back for repeat business.
I think you're 100% right.
Thank you.
I'm going to take the under on 100% right.
Nobody's got a perfect mouth, according to a dentist. You could have a perfect mouth, and they're like, well, you have a little sign of a cavity in your lower right molar neighborhood. And
I feel like once a week someone comes in onto their chair and they're like, you have the perfect mouth.
Never.
I wish I could have 100 of you.
Nope. I'm telling you. My dentist, Dr. B, great dentist. But for about 18 years, every time I see him, like, we got to get those wisdom teeth out. Like they're not a problem now.
They get a commission on
but
that
they will
for
be.
sure,
They will
yeah.
be, and they haven't been a problem ever. And you know what, Billy? To also bolster your point, up until like 2003, when you take your kids to like the pediatric dentist, you know what they give them at the end? A lollipop.
Yeah.
What was that about?
How about that?
Keep them coming back.
Yeah, ironic, isn't it? Yeah.
Like the iPhone or the Apple, where they're purposely they've had to pay money, right? Because
Yes.
they make products that are meant to break early, so that you have to replace them
The battery life and all that. Yep.
Yeah.
as a business model.
Although famously they got sued for pennies on the dollar for
Steve
that.
Martin.
Yeah.
In the 6 games versus the Pacers, Karl Anthony Towns had one block
Oh my God.
from the center. That doesn't happen very often. And he went the entire conference finals last year without registering a block, and it got him traded.
Well,
Right after that.
they didn't get him traded.
Right after that, he was traded. That and his salary. But my point is that this was a bad defensive team. Like when Haberstroh writes that Brunson, Bridges, Hart, Anunoby, and Cat was the second worst defensive unit in conference finals since 2008. Only one that was worse was 16 Toronto with Luis Scola out there.
Oh my God.
Luis Scola makes me
Blast.
smile. Put it on the poll
Yes.
at Le Batard Show. Does Luis Scola make you smile?
They seem to be a very flawed team, and I don't know if they're going to convince themselves that they're close. They spent a lot of capital on trying to get Bridges on their roster when they're actually pretty close right now. I mean, a lot of Knicks fans are lamenting, like, we could have used those 5 picks for Giannis now that he's in the picture.
What does it mean that 93% of their money is tied up in 6 players, and they got less from the bench than anybody, and they got less from the bench all season? Like, I'm asking you the question structurally. Is people now wonder, are the Celtics going to trade Jaylen Brown, or what are the Celtics going to do to counter, however it is that OKC needs to be countered? When I say the conversation today, Amin, goes very quickly. Roy, how much of that you got in your mouth so far?
It seems like half the bag so far.
When I say, Amin, that 93% of the salary is tied up in the 6 guys.
Yeah, I think there's a glass half full kind of way to look at it, which is they've got 6 guys who are under contract that they don't have to worry about. Towns, Anunoby, Brunson, Bridges, Hart, Robinson. And that's a really good start. I think they could do better with their bench. I also think Tom Thibodeau could do better with trusting his bench. Landry Shamet was a nice little discovery. Would have been nice if he had been playing all year long as opposed to just the last couple of games. Same thing with Precious Achiuwa, who played when Mitchell Robinson was hurt earlier this year. Would have been nice to be able to turn to him earlier in the series rather than later. So I think part of it is coaching, a coaching decision. Part of it is they've got to get better at finding talent in the margins, because that's how this thing works. You don't pay everybody. You pay a certain number of people, in this case for them 6, which is actually a pretty good number to have locked up. And then you've got to do a great job with your scouting, with your first-round picks, second-round picks, with your minor league scouting, with your guys, young vets that kind of pop up somewhere and can help a team. That's the next phase of that the front office has to go through.
But can you actually win a championship with 2 out of your starting 5 being that bad at defense, people that you can target right up the spine of your defense? And moreover, I don't know if you saw Becky Hammond's quotes, but is Jalen Brunson just too small? Can your best player be that small for you to win a championship?
So shout out to Master Tesfacion who grabbed that flag and ran with it. You have to understand, when Master posts anything, there is a Dallas narrative underneath. So his narrative is that Jalen Brunson isn't that good because he was at the Mavs and the Mavs let him go, and now it's like, oh yeah, he's too small. Becky Hammond said that 2 years ago, right? That's all well and good. Also, they made it to the conference finals, and they were up in 3 of the 6 games, right, in the fourth quarter. So.
Yeah, but what does that mean? They're not good enough, and they needed Cleveland to get knocked out, and Indiana did all the killing, and
Tatum got hurt.
And they're not good enough. And Brunson's their best player, and if he's your best player, that's about as far as you're going to go.
This is the revisionist history that you were just talking about with
they did win the majority of the games in that series with Tatum on the floor.
Right. Well, yes, they were up 3-1 with Tatum, and this thing was crumbling for Boston, and then Tatum got hurt, and then they had one win of like the pride win, and then they lost in game.
Yeah, but what are we doing? Explain to me what we're doing.
I'll explain it. You don't have to preamble. I'll explain it. They're good. Guess what? Only one team wins. Right. They fell They fell because Indiana had a better game plan and they executed the game plan better. It's not because the Knicks clearly were out talented.
No,
it's not a talent issue.
It's not. Nobody's saying it's a talent issue.
Saying they're not good enough to win when Brunson is
They
your
just
best player.
lost to a 5.
Okay.
Like they lost to a 5.
Just explain how.
And they're a 3. They beat one of the 2 that were better than them, but maybe they're better than Cleveland next year. And maybe they're not better than Cleveland next year. And I don't know where Giannis ends up. But when we're talking about Boston realized during this year that they might have to make a change while watching what OKC was doing, a structural, architectural change. If Boston is the champion is doing that, I feel like we've sped up. What are you looking at me?
What was Boston realizing had to make a change?
There was a conversation happening during the season as people realized, like you did, OKC has gotten better than Boston. What might that team have to do to change if it loses against OKC?
No, that's not a conversation that was happening.
So it's a conversation that's happening now, is it not?
It was a conversation that was really tied to the purchase price because they had to avoid the luxury tax.
It was all a money conversation.
Okay.
It has nothing to do like, oh my God, OKC's really good.
Their elimination has changed it, though.
Yeah, well, of course, and Tatum being hurt and being out for the next year changes it. There's a lot of stuff that is accelerated because of the circumstances. Most of them are financial. It's not a basketball like, oh my God, they're so great. We have to change. Number 2, because I have to correct something else you said. Indiana was a 4 seed, not the 5 seed. Number 3, Indiana had the best record in the NBA outside Oklahoma City from January 1 on. So when you frame it as, oh my God, the Knicks no, they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have. That was a great team that they played.
They were also only 1 game worse than the Knicks record-wise for the season.
There you go.
There are 3 teams in the conference, I can argue today, are better than the Knicks. At least 3. And I don't know what Philadelphia's going to be. I understand if no one trusts anything regarding Joel Embiid. But I do believe that when a season ends, you can either say that you believe, oh, they're good enough as is, and they can add a thing. Or you say, they need to add something better than Brunson. And Brunson is plenty good, but they need to add something structurally that changes their fortunes because 93% of the money is tied up in 6 guys. And I do believe it's fair to have a structural conversation about the Knicks today.
I agree. I mean, we've seen teams, Carolina in another sport is kind of the same way. Are we good enough? We made it to the conference finals, but then when you peel it apart, well, the conference finals are a little kooky in that sport. You can make an argument that the 4 best teams are from one division that you totally avoid. New York has been in this position before, and they traded away popular players, Hartenstein, DiVincenzo, guys that were really making contributions, and they realized that they have to be aggressive. Now, it's a bit different because they have a hand tied behind their back because they just gave up 5 picks for Bridges. Yep. They don't have the same kind of flexibility that they had before, but they got rid of Julius Randle when most Knicks fans were celebrating in the streets thinking that they were close, but they recognized they were self-aware enough to know that they weren't actually close.
So Hartenstein, they didn't give him up. The rules said, we can only pay you this much, and Oklahoma City said, we'll pay you double. So that wasn't a choice. If it were up to the Knicks, they would have kept him. The Bridges trade, that's if you want to pick on the Knicks front office, that's where you go. Because at the time I said everyone was, it's the power of friendship. I said, it's not about friendship. It's a Toyota Corolla. You don't pay $500,000 for a Toyota Corolla, even if you know there's $1 million in gold bricks in the trunk, because it's still a Toyota Corolla, right? And in that sense, you spent that $500,000 or 5 first-round picks on a Toyota Corolla, and now there's a Mercedes on the market, and you're like, if only I had $500,000 on me.
Wait a minute. How many gold bricks were in the trunk?
$1 million.
I'm going to keep that car.
I'm going to keep that car.
Yeah.
What year was it?
I could turn in those bricks, get money, and now buy an even better car.
Greg,
like if
it's a low mileage Toyota.
If you
Gold's hard to move.
If you go to the dealership,
right,
multiple ways,
and a genie says to you, by the way, that Corolla right there, it's got $1 million in gold bricks in it. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows. The dealer doesn't know. Yeah. The other customers don't know.
There's
Nobody
a genie.
It weighs a lot.
The genie.
Is this one of my wishes?
Why is the genie there?
The genie is Greg's guardian angel.
But if I have a genie, wouldn't I just
hold on.
use
Two different things.
There's a car with gold bars, a genie's in it who's a guardian angel.
Is it a
Right.
genie or guardian?
Why does the
angel?
genie need to whisper?
Hold
Genie
on.
doesn't give you choices.
Do guardian angels can't be genies? Is that what you're
Camry-
saying?
No way a Camry's trunk is big enough to hold $1 million.
When you say a
in
genie,
gold.
do you mean
Oh, I think
Robin
it is.
Williams is Greg's guardian angel?
You take
Not
the
that
tire
genie.
out, you know, you
Because a
got
little
plenty
bit
of
of
room.
It's going to be weighted to the floor. It's going to be. You're going to know there's $1 million. You're not going to be able to drive the car. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Can you move a Toyota Corolla? Can you drive a Toyota Corolla that has 1 million pounds worth of gold weight?
$1 million pounds?
No.
Pounds,
Pounds?
dollars.
No,
No,
dollars,
pounds,
not pounds.
no.
That
Dollars.
way, Governor, this
Now
ain't-
we're talking.
This isn't the South End, in it?
Forgive me.
In it?
Forgive me.
I love it.
Wait, hold on. I got to do my Tom Hardy. You got to keep talking like this. See, Kev, me and the arrogance, we've got a problem, in it.
I love that.
Yeah,
it
see-
came up on
It was not
Mobland.
any good.
Yeah.
It was not any good.
No,
So-
it's great. In it?
I did some research. In today's market, $1 million in gold would be 516.65 pounds. So you
Nothing.
could.
That's
Light
nothing.
work.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh, I
two
thought
dead
it was
bodies
heavier.
in a
My
trunk.
bad. My bad. I thought
Light
it-
work.
I thought it was heavier than that. My bad. Roy, you have the entire pack of Big League gum, Big League chew gum in your mouth now?
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Oh, wow.
So
That's really
are
good.
you chewing it, or you just put it in like
It's behind my cheeks
tobacco?
right now.
Okay, but have you chewed it? Have you made it inflate in your mouth?
Yes.
Okay. Can you give us your best Stanley Cup preview here as Edmonton faces the Panthers in a rematch of last year's final? As Paul Maurice says, this is the best team he's ever coached. This one right now.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. It's the deepest and has the most talent on the team. I believe that the Panthers will win in 6, but I won't be surprised that this series goes 7 games. It's going to be a big blow to the Oilers that Zach Hyman is out for the season, but they still can, make this a 7-game series. Stuart Skinner has been consistent over the last series versus the Dallas Stars. We'll see if the Panthers will put traffic in front of him and get deflections past him. But it's going to be a close series. I think the Panthers will take it.
All right, stay on here. I want more analysis from you, faster and more. Edmonton is 12-2 in their last 14. They started the postseason. And they were down early against the Kings, and then in games 3 and 4, they were also down late.
The Kings could have killed
The Kings
Oilers.
could have put
The
an
worst
end to
challenge
this.
in the history of sports. That series ended with that challenge.
The Panthers have been great during the last 12 games. Edmonton has been better.
Especially on the road for the Panthers. And they are going on the road for this series. The Oilers have a home ice advantage in this series, and I think the Panthers will take full advantage of that one.
The Hyman thing is huge.
What?
But what Bob struggled with so far this postseason, what certain teams were affected, Toronto mainly, until Mikkola woke up and realized he had to get ultra physical, is putting a big body in front of Bob, screening him, making it tough to read the puck. Zach Hyman, that's what he does. They call him Shaq Hyman. He scores all his goals inside of 1 feet. But now that he's out, what big body can they put up there? Is it Nugent Hopkins? He's very effective at that, even when he's not scoring goals for them at the same clip. This is a former 50-goal scorer, so Florida's benefiting from this injury, no doubt.
Corey Perry is going to end up in front of the net as well, and he's been getting his goals that way.
Yeah, he's been very good for them lately.
This Google AI thing seems to still be figuring itself out because it seems as though $1 million in gold might only be 27 pounds, not 516.
Yeah, when
That's
Dan
great.
started saying that, I'm like,
It says $1 million of gold at today's market price would weigh approximately 516.65 pounds. This equates to about 83,083 troy ounces, or 27.46 pounds of gold.
Now, is it pounds of gold or is it pounds of gold in it, Governor?
If you ever find gold, by the way, gang, if you're ever treasure hunting and you find gold, melt it down and remake your own bars, because if it's stamped and it belongs like to Spain, they're going to come and claim it.
I'll just
there's
melt it
really
down.
No, you really have to find someone to melt it down. Because if it belongs to like the Kingdom of Spain or like the Irish whatever,
So
they
just
come
hold
and
it to
they
like a
claim
lighter?
it.
Just like
You
hold it
can't-
up to a lighter. And just like,
No, you'll see it if it's coins.
Find a cauldron.
Yeah, no, you got to. Guys, I'm trying to help you
No,
here.
no, Well,
it's
you
really
know,
a curse to find gold because they come and they claim it, and you really get nothing out of
He's
it.
right. You ever seen the movie
Thank
The
you.
Score
I'll
with
just
Robert
find
De
a
Niro?
cauldron.
Robert De Niro and Ed Norton, they get it, and then they melt it down, and they make it into like the bars on the ship.
Hey,
and everyone
Norton.
thinks it's just golden.
What was that, Greg?
Hey, Norton.
Yeah, no, I heard that. What
No,
is it?
Greg's right though.
Oh, it's Ralph Cramden.
Honeymooners.
Yeah, the Honeymooners.
The Honeymooners.
Yeah.
Hold on a second, Greg. Roy, can you stop chewing gum long enough to get the Back in My Day live here so that we can now get on a Monday Greg Cody's live rendition of Back in My Day, where he tells us the inside reference that he was making there to all the 90-year-olds who are listening to our podcast.
Roy got it.
The Honeymooners started airing in 1955.
Yeah, no. So
Yeah.
at Le Batard Show is the poll question: is it really a curse to find gold?
I liked his perspective on that.
Well,
They
I
always come back and claim it. You don't want to if you find it, don't tell anyone, number one. And then two, melt it down and make your own gold, because you're not going to be able to do anything with it. That's when you need to start researching the black market and how you move gold on the black market. I don't even know how you would do it, because the internet these days, you search, how do I illegally move gold on the black market? They'll find you.
Roy, you're giving me the thumbs up there. Launch.
I mean, everybody knows who Ralph Cramden is, right? The world's most famous bus driver. Ed Norton was his neighbor. And, hey, Norton! You know, and so an actor named, it's almost like a Michael
Art
Jordan
Carney.
thing. Art Carney, right. Played Norton. Hey, Norton! It was like...
It's really all you've got, huh?
Can
Well, it
we
was like-
transcribe this? I want to transcribe this
No.
and have someone else read it.
Okay.
Greg,
Transcribe
hold
it
on.
word
Greg,
for word.
Hold on.
Okay.
I know you're so good at this that you don't need to
Hey,
practice
Norton!
it. Back in my
Hey,
day.
Norton!
I want to see this in black and white. I need to see this transcribed.
You haven't written a Back in My Day in a while. You continue to publicize your books here off of
those books.
old
Yeah.
recycled work. You haven't
Right.
done a lot of new. You're not cranking out fresh material.
Sure.
So
I'm cranking out fresh books. I'll tell you that. I just bought a racehorse. Flew down here
Really?
from Argentina to Miami, Isla Grande
down here from
in quarantine right now.
It went the other way.
And then she's going to be shipped up to Ocala for some training.
What's the name?
Isla Grande.
The big island.
Now I'm just picturing like a plane full of horses, and like there's like a cart going down the middle. Like, you guys want
Yeah.
some hay here? There's some hay.
No, we have video. You should play the video of my horse.
Yeah, you should.
Boarding a plane.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
Just go run
astounding
and get
to
that
see.
for him.
No,
Yes.
because we did this on his podcast, and it's not the horse boarding a plane. It's just the horse moving from one vehicle to another
I know,
vehicle.
but-
How do
Majestic.
horses? How do they like planes versus riding on the expressway?
I think they like it because they disguise the plane. They try to make it
Yeah.
look like they're just in a stall or something. They even put like a bale of hay there. Plus, Isla Grande had big earmuffs. So
Listening to
that-
music, I imagine those are like AirPods.
Watching Mobland.
It's like listening, watching a show on the
Watching
flight.
Mobland.
Okay.
On the,
Hey Roy, can you feel your lower teeth rotting in your head?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just checking. But the other thing that occurs is that when you melt a gold brick,
Yeah.
why does it have to be made into a brick shape? Like, if you put it in a squirrel
You can make it
mold,
into anything,
You can
yeah.
make a gold squirrel. Like ice cubes, they have ice cubes with dimples like a golf ball. Why can't you do that with gold?
it's a good point.
I mean, it happened in, what was that Ben Stiller movie? The one where there was a hotel Tower Heist. So in
Yeah.
Tower Heist, spoiler alert
So
for
bad.
everyone who's
That's such
oh,
a
it's a
bad
classic.
movie. Such a bad.
It's
No
a
wonder
classic
Stiller won't do
Thanksgiving
this show.
movie. So anyone who watches Tower Heist will know this. If you haven't, maybe tune off now if you're getting around to Tower Heist. It came out in 2011. So Tower Heist, it was kind of like a Bernie Madoff situation where
Ouch.
the guy came out and he ruined everybody's retirement. And what happened was he hid all of the money in a gold-shaped car that he had in his penthouse. And
it
then
a
it was
Corolla?
painted so everybody thought that it was a car. But really, every piece of it was gold. So at the end, again, spoiler alert, Ben Stiller went, and everybody that had lost out on their retirement, he mailed them in the mail. He sent them like a mirror. He sent them like the steering wheel, and it was solid gold, all of them. Boom, retirement back. Then he went to jail.
Spoiler alert.
Well, he committed crimes. He had to do the time. Don't commit the crime if you can't do the time, right,
There
Greg?
you go. That's exactly right, Billy. Only bet what you can afford to
Anyway,
lose.
Yep.
Greg, we
Yeah.
were on the Honeymooners, but first, I'd like to just retreat for just a moment. I'm the truly ignorant one in thinking that $1 million in gold would be heavier than it was.
Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
came up with like a crazy poundage.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I
you
did.
said it weighed 1 million
Yes.
pounds.
I mean,
which
gold
a
is
third.
famously very valuable.
He said the car wouldn't be able to move it.
What do you think weighs more, 1 million pounds of gold or 1 million pounds of feathers?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, it's-
Wait, is it $1 million of
$1
gold?
million Knuckleballers. Sorry.
Thank you.
Here.
All right, £1 million, governor.
So put it on the poll. Is it really, I know we put it up already, is it really a curse to find gold? Because Billy is maintaining, I just want to make sure I've got this right. You're maintaining that you would rather not find gold than find gold.
I'm
correct?
not saying I would rather not. I'm just saying once you find it, then the treasure hunt has just begun. Now you need to move it. And how do you move it? Hey, by the way, friends, fun fact, Greg, because you mentioned the Honeymooners. How many seasons do you think it had?
I would say 6.
It had 39 episodes. That was it.
Yeah, but nowadays that'd be 5 seasons.
Episodes.
Good point.
Yeah, 39 episodes.
39 episodes.
This show's been so ADD that I've been trying for 20 minutes to legitimately get in with the Bartman game. That was a game 6. A whole nother game had to be played after
That's a
that.
good one.
That's a fine.
That's an excellent one.
Yeah, it is.
Why is that a fine?
For someone. I don't know. We don't even remember talking about that.
Yeah, the Barman game. That
Yeah.
fits.
Yes.
I was actually going to say Herb Brooks, who's in the Herb Top 20 Countdown on my podcast, because
We're in the top 10, by the way.
because everybody.
Wait. So it's 20 herbs?
Yeah.
Dad, you want to give him the...
No. I saw
20
this
through?
the other day. I will continue to tell people that what Yeti and Chris Cody are doing with Greg Cody on very low budget is
And
is
that's the truth.
is fun and funny, and it's a ransacking. And last week it was top 20 herbs.
Well, it's every week. We revealed this week was, I believe, what, 8?
I think
Last
we were
week
down
was
to
nine.
number 7.
I
yeah.
cheered when cilantro was number 6. Not to
spoiler
spoil it,
alert.
not to spoil everything for everybody.
Yeah.
Time!
Come on now.
Time was already used, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe it was.
Okay, so
There's still time.
Oh, that's
for that.
rosemary. My bad. I'm thinking of
Yeah,
rosemary.
right.
Still time for time?
There's still time for that.
do you realize how shitty your Honeymooners back in my day was? Do you want to give it another crack on what the Honeymooners was, or did all you have was Hey Norton to take us back to this 39 episode run through one glorious season of the Honeymooners?
Well, that's how it came up. Was Hey Norton. It was,
Hey, Ruffy.
Right, and then we asked
Yeah.
you to elaborate, and you
Yes.
keep
So
going
you
back
really-
to,
so-
hey, Norton.
So do you know anything about the Honeymooners? Because back in my day, there was a television show.
Right.
It was black and white. It only had 39 episodes. Do you remember how to do back in my day?
I do, but the Honeymooners, the whole riff was Ralph being annoyed by Ed. Okay, so Ed would, like the classic scene was where he's teaching Ed Norton how to hold a golf club. And Ed Norton, instead of taking a swing, he just
They're better when they're written. Check out his book.
Okay. Yeah.
Back in my day, The Chronicles of Recycled Corned Beef Hash with Greg Cody.
Thank you.
It's a great Father's Day gift.
It is, now that you mention it.
Are you not fascinated by the way this man's brain works?
So
Because
is the
I'm
part of the lion.
fascinated.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, there is one thing I am fascinated by, and thank you for bringing it up, because if you hadn't brought it up, it would have escaped my attention. Since singing in Las Vegas, Diva and Ego has consistently come to Greg Cody, who now thinks he's the star of every show he's in.
Yeah, I did carry Vegas.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So that you guys may have noticed this, because it made Mike laugh out loud in the other room. When he shot out his left arm because he was about to give off some material, like because he had a line or two for the audience and he was winding up,
Yes.
that's Greg feeling himself
Damn
on,
right.
look out, here comes some of the good, 100%
Yes.
pure, don't melt it down like gold, Greg Cody.
You get me.
It's shitty.
Yeah.
It's,
Hee-haw,
there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Makes no sense. So Tom Cruise and Father's Day, I link these two.
I love this.
I link these two because as Father's Day approaches, Tom Cruise had the single most Tom Cruise answer to what I thought was just a lobbed question at the red carpet from a celebrity interviewer. It's not meant to sort of rummage around in his past or whether or not, or ask him whether he loves his kids or not. But what a shocking answer to this question, the most shocking I've heard on a red carpet to this kind of question.
Also, I got to ask, Father's Day is just around the corner. What would an ideal Father's Day look like for you?
Hey, just having fun, man. Making movies, big adventure, having a great time.
He is not seeing those kids.
I don't see what's wrong.
That made me sad. There's sadness there.
Why is he treating Father's Day the way that Bill Belichick would treat Cincinnati on his schedule?
Play that again, please, because I was just simply shocked by this answer.
Also, got to ask, Father's Day is just around the corner. What would an ideal Father's Day look like for you?
Hey, just having fun, man. Making movies, big adventure, having a great time.
Sounds like an awesome Father's Day.
Do you think he didn't hear the question?
Yeah, he's just like,
and he just had one in the holster?
I think that's what he thinks an awesome Father's Day is.
Well, what's the other option? Brunch with the in-laws? Like, his version's so much better.
So much better. Oh, my God.
Father's Day's not about fathers, let's be honest.
It's such a softball question, though. I mean, come on.
You know what he did? He went yard with that answer.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Play it again. Play it again. Listen to him process and then, deliver.
Also, got to ask, Father's Day is just around the corner. What would an ideal Father's Day look like for you?
Hey, just having fun, man. Making movies, big adventure, having a great time.
That shit left the park, man. What are you talking about?
Did you guys know that the Texas Rangers were an out away from winning a World Series in 2011 twice in Game 6?
Yeah.
Went on to lose that series.
It was an amazing World Series.
Josh Hamilton had one of the great forgotten moments by just putting them 2 up. Kind of like the Jermaine Kearse catch in that Super Bowl.
You guys remember the Derek Fisher shot that he hit again to beat the Spurs?
that had to win the series.
It didn't win the series, but even better than that, Tim Duncan hit an incredible shot right before it. Yeah, Tim Duncan's shot was even more incredible than the Fisher one.
Seconds before. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is Father's Day for fathers?
It's not. You think Tom Cruise just walks around everything and says, I could jump off of that?
No, he just does.
Put that on the poll at Le Batard Show. Does Tom Cruise just walk around saying, I can jump off of that? Again, I just want to play it one more time because it's amazing. Annabella, he's not thinking about you at all. He's only thinking about himself. When it comes to Father's Day, it's me on Tom Cruise.
Also, got to ask, Father's Day is just around the corner. What would an ideal Father's Day look like for you?
Hey, just having fun, man. Making movies, big adventure, having a great time.
That'd be like if I asked my dad that. He'd be like, just, writing columns. Yeah. Love to write a column.
Big adventure.
That's a dude that can't wait to get back to Anna de Armas.
He doesn't have time to see his kids. He's strapped to the side of an airplane. His face is vibrating. The Knuckleballers is dead now, correct? Completely dead. There's no one. Is there anyone throwing the knuckleball now?
Someone has to be throwing.
Yeah.
I would say Tim Wakefield was.
None of us
bad.
have one. We're just like, yeah.
No, there has to be.
There's got to be. Well, wait a minute. The knuckleballer didn't go extinct without anyone telling us.
As long as there's breath in my lungs, there's a knuckleballer out there.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. As long as there is breath in your lungs, will there be a knuckleballer out there?
There should be more because if you notice, I mean, I don't have any stats to back this, but I don't care. I'm going with it regardless. I would say that the position players that are pitching have a much better ERA than average pitchers do. Because they're all just going out there throwing the ball like 35 miles an hour, and the hitters are so confused that they just get under it, they pop up. Like nary a run is scored off of a position player. Sometimes, but not always.
I loved when baseball analysis was starting strong. I loved the people who would do the analytics on how a knuckleballer would screw up your hitters the next day. The preparing for a knuckleball would screw you up the next day as well because you're sitting out there hitting those 45-mile-an-hour butterflies.
There's nothing that I hated more, like growing up watching the Marlins, than when Jamie Moyer was coming to play against them. And I don't even remember if he was a knuckleballer, if he could just only hit
it was just
75.
Slop. It was just slop.
He could
It wasn't
only hit
he
like
was not a knuckleballer.
72.
He was just old, and he threw croutons up
Anytime there was a
Tossed salad.
knuckleballer or just an old man that could throw the ball really slow, I knew like this team can only hit fastballs, and this is going to be a long day and a long week because they're not going to be able to figure it out.
And it's frustrating because you're just seeing these meatballs go over the plate. You're like, how can you not deal with this? This is so slow.
This episode is presented by Smirnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York.
You can be very afraid and properly respectful of Connor McDavid and also have what I'm about to say be true as to why it is the defending champions might not fear what cometh this way, even though I would fear what cometh this way, not just with home ice, but because the growth of this kind of transcendent talent sort of demands that he step up and win this to be the talent that I believe everyone hockey thinks he already is, just better than everybody. And what he's facing, though, is the following. It is a franchise that not only took out and beheaded Tampa and all that it was, but made Boston and New York go about doing a different kind of business, and now has Toronto's GM saying, we need to change our DNA because what we are isn't what they are. And so now you're slicing through the top of the toughest conference with the deepest team Paul Maurice has ever had. If Connor McDavid is to be the champion I believe him to be, that his greatness demands, he will slay this giant. But it will be a giant he slays. Like they're every bit as good as each other, except they have the better player. But Florida's plenty happy with the best player they've got and the soldiers behind him, because this thing is deeper than what beat him last year, but he's stronger than what he was last year.
No, I think Edmonton has the two better players. They have the two best players in the world. However, the Panthers have the better team. Now, the Achilles heel in this situation is Florida giving up stretch passes. So if Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl gets behind the Panthers defenseman, I mean, that's going to be a breakaway one-on-one situation against Bob, and that's not going to go over too well. It's not like it's the Maple Leafs or anything. Like, this is Connor McDavid here.
But how about the quote, though, from Toronto's GM, we have to change our DNA?
It's obvious.
But what you're leaving in your wake in Carolina and Toronto, like, I mean,
I don't think Carolina gets a message ever. I mean, like, what are we leaving? Like, let's just run it back.
Rod Brindamore always is like, we're this close. And I'm like, thank you, Rod.
I love how Carolina approaches everything. God bless the Carolina Hurricanes. Keep running it back. You guys are close.
Amin had the proper tone with the Knicks when he says, they were very good. Why do we have to immediately change the architecture? Well, the why is Carolina and Toronto had some of the best teams they've ever had, and it wasn't good enough. They had teams good enough to hope that this was the year, and it was taken out by the defending champion in a way that's so overt that you have to change the way you're doing the entirety of business because they've passed you. We know how competitive these things are. So when it's these two teams, they just buzzsawed through the playoffs. I know that Toronto took them 7 games, but the playoffs are generally pretty hard. This, all intents and purposes, 2 pretty easy paths for somehow. I'm not saying the teams weren't good. I'm just saying to go 12-2 through one conference and to go through, tested once by Toronto. You ran through the conferences to get to. These are clearly the 2 best teams. Like
you ran through the toughest division, certainly in hockey, and I think the divisions. I really hope the NHL goes back to 1 through 8 best records in the conference, because you have a situation with Carolina where they've just tricked themselves into thinking they're the second best team in the conference when they're not. I don't even know if they probably get a wild card if they're stuck in the Atlantic. And by the way, if you ranked that series, if you ranked the teams in the Eastern Conference 1 through 8, first round matchup would be Carolina and Florida. I bet you that 5-game series loss would hit a hell of a lot different if it just so happened to be in the first round.
I mean, the regular season really didn't matter. I mean, both the Panthers and Oilers kind of rested up for this playoff, and the Panthers really needed that rest because we saw Matthew Tkachuk in the Tampa series come out and did what he did.
During this 4-year run, it's a pretty amazing way that the Panthers have gotten to the playoffs and then 3 consecutive finals, because they've done it all. They won a President's Trophy, and they realized second-round exit at the hands of the Tampa Bay Lightning, we're not good enough. Let's trade the face of the franchise. Then they squeak in as an 8th seed, do it all on the road, get to a final broken, and then they are the best team in the sport. Well, not President's Trophy, but have home ice throughout the Eastern Conference. And this one, they decided, you know what, we're just going to be road warriors the entire postseason. They can beat you any type of way, and they can get to the final any type of way.
When Paul Maurice says it's the best team he's had, and the last one he had was a champion, and when what I will keep saying cometh this way throughout hockey history, when something that looks like this.
What do you talketh that way?
Because there are like 4 guys historically who can be feared the way this one is, where
he's the fastest skater ever. I mean, he's one of the greatest players ever. I got to say, hats off to you guys, because a lot of Panthers fans were worried about what you guys would do with your Stanley Cup preview. Just run it back, called the best player in the world, who's already plenty pissed off, overrated.
I'll give my dad time.
Yeah, I mean, we get it. He's got to win the cup for you to crown him one of the greatest of all times. But I think it's very clear who the best player in the world is right now.
Yeah,
if you want to rank him against Ghost, that is your prerogative. And if you want to frame the discussion that way, I guess go right ahead. I don't know how it serves it, because that guy, I don't like the look in his eye, and I don't like the way that he plays hockey.
Billy,
that guy's a demigod.
All right, can you help me here, Billy? Because Mike's trying to cut us off at the knees before we even get started. Greg Cody, it wasn't just Vegas that made it all go to his head. Greg Cody made himself the center of the Stanley Cup final. He made himself the center, the star media personality, calling Connor McDavid overrated last year, infuriating Mike Ryan. You guys got so serious that you thought my billboards were going to jinx your team, that you were. Everybody ran diarrhea shitting themselves, not allowing me to do some things because Mike didn't want us blamed for ruining the Stanley Cup final championship run because we had to get Greg Cody more attention.
Yeah, silly superstition.
They blew a 3-0 lead. We were all panicking.
Well, not me.
Asinine that would be the situation.
Well,
we
Luke
were
over
in.
here was fine.
My
ass was inside my chest.
Okay, Connor McDavid is the fastest skater in this series.
Yeah,
There's
but
no
Billy
question
Hamilton
about
was
that.
the fastest player in baseball. And what did that get him?
There you go. That's a very good point by
Thank
Billy.
you, Greg.
As always, Billy.
No one ever said he's the greatest of all time because he's the fastest.
We've been hearing for 10 years now, not 5 years, not 3 years, for 10 years. We've been hearing how great Connor McDavid is. He's not a two-way player.
And he is.
The best two-way player in this series is named Alexander Barkov.
Thank you.
Okay, McDavid has to win a championship, or he can't be. You can't keep calling him Jesus and the chosen one and this and that.
You can call him McJesus. That's all right. But I mean, he won the Conn Smythe last year, best player of the postseason. While you were calling him overrated, it's fine. I get it. To be an all-timer, to be on the Mount Rushmore, he's got to win a Stanley Cup. That's great. We don't need to make it a narrative. I think he's crystal clear that he's chasing ghosts. But he's the best player in this series. He was the best player in the series last time.
It's ridiculous to give the Conn Smythe to a player from a losing team. Yep. It's just a mockery.
It's happened
before.
He was that good.
Nah, it's a mockery.
No, it's a mockery.
Right now, he's in the class of Apollo Anton Ono. That's about it.
Exactly. Also, he's not chasing ghosts. He's chasing Panthers.
Hello. You got that right.
I'm already here. I already said hello to you this morning.
Oh, and he gave you the left hand, a little Elvis. You got a little. Oh, he look at it. He did a little wiggle, and he just got it.
One thing.
Look out now.
Hey, Norton. I don't like what's happening to my left. I don't like what's happening over here. Billy, I'm going to need you to corral some of this.
I'm trying to help here.
Okay.
Art Carney.
It doesn't feel like you're trying to help. Let me get a palate cleanser here. Give me the Testy Siakam. The show's been a little scattered today. Give me the Testy Siakam I asked for 40 minutes ago.
Pascal, can you make sense of it for those of us who don't play this game at this level? Like, you know it was a mistake, and you're saying they played harder than you guys. You didn't fight them hard enough. How is that possible?
What do you mean?
How is it possible to not fight hard enough in game?
What are you talking about? They played harder than us. It's okay. We played hard, but they played harder. What's your point? I don't get it.
My point is, you're saying you guys got out-fought, and I'm saying
that happens in the game, though. That's basketball.
In game 5, you didn't play hard.
You're good? You're good, bro? You're looking for something, I know, but damn. No, but I'm telling you, though. I told you. What else do you want me to tell you?
Well, what you tell me how. That's all. That's all I'm asking.
Well, what about you tell me? So go ahead. Who's this guy? Who's this guy? What's your name, bro? Oh.
Did he know who he was? Was that like a?
He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know who he is because Greg Doyle's a columnist, and columnists sometimes don't come to games.
Right.
So I hear.
Swoop in for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Huh.
Absolutely true.
There's so many things.
It used to be that if you were Pascal Siakam in your town, you would know who the local newspaper columnist is. You would know who that is. I would have no reason to think that Pascal Siakam is going behind the paywall at the Indianapolis Star to see what Greg Doyle wrote about his 30-point performance.
Why? He can afford it.
Well, I don't imagine that these guys are going. All right, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are the Pacers all paying for Indianapolis Star subscriptions?
Yes. Vote yes.
Maybe the team pays for all of them to have it.
Support local journalism,
There
number
you
one.
go.
Number two, Klay Thompson used to famously read actual newspapers.
There you go.
In the locker room.
We love that. By the way, Siakam, I thought, gave a very good answer, a very legitimate answer. I like an athlete who's willing to admit, man, we busted our ass. We played hard. They played a little harder. It's not a crime to admit that.
So, I was there.
But how?
It's not a criminal. That's true. There's nothing criminal about it. But now twice, Amin has done this where I was
because I
there.
want to give you behind the scenes things about what happened there.
He was
and
there.
you guys just keep wanting to talk about other things. So the funniest thing is Greg Doyle has his laptop in his lap, right? And as soon as he's done asking the question, the moment Siakam starts answering, this is the thing that doesn't come up on the broadcast. He is typing feverishly. You know that Kermit the Frog meme of him at the typewriter? That's exactly what it looked and sounded like. I'm like, how are you even hearing what he's saying? So he's like, how's that possible? Well, I mean, it's and I'm sitting there trying not to bust out laughing.
It's a loud
because
laptop.
it's so, dude. I'm gonna try and recreate. I'm gonna point my microphone. It's like this.
Man, wow, jeez. Oh. Poor laptop.
That's exactly what it sounded like. It's also an older laptop.
That's Ira Winderman's move with the Heat.
Sounds
You always
like a
hear him
drum beat.
clacking away during
It was
the question.
clacking like it was a typewriter.
Yeah, you have to.
Number two, the rest of the press conference, he kept making passive-aggressive comments. I mean, Siakam did about playing harder. Sometimes that happens in NBA games, and he stares at
I
him.
love that move.
Number three, do you guys hear what the dismount was? Read about it tomorrow. He said this, and he didn't make eye contact. He just kind of kept typing, and he was like, well, you read about it tomorrow. And I said, whoa. Yeah, I was, at the whole time, I was like, this Greg Doyle guy, what's his big deal? Then he hit the dismount, I was like, you know what? It kind of won me back.
What was his body energy? What was I looking for there?
Okay, well done. I'm glad you
No,
called.
hold on. His body.
Just having fun, making movies.
Hold on.
His
You know,
vibes. Why don't you say vibes? What are his vibes?
His body language. Thank you, Lewis, in my head. What was his body language like after the question?
I'll be honest with you. He took it like a G. But then
Woof.
again, he was typing like Kermit the Frog, so I
Chris.
don't know what his vibes were.
Chris.
He said, look at him. Like right there. That's exactly what it looked like.
Chris,
I'm not lying.
Chris, you called for the ball.
Little Sunday sativa.
You called for the ball, and you said body, and then you did this.
Well, because I was like, it's such an obvious one. Body language. That's why I was like, yeah.
That's his body. The Kermit the Frog. That was his body language.
Wow.
Number three, and this is the part.
You already gave us number three.
No,
It's number
four. Number four, and this is the part where I get to be full self-indulgent. My head, the back of my head is in the shot.
Oh, I want to see that.
Yeah, if you play it back, that's
go.
the
All
back
right.
of my head in the
All
shot.
right, great.
Yeah.
Go ahead and play it
Slow-mo
back. All right, so let's see if we can see the back of Amin's head in the shot if we play it back, because I don't see anybody's head.
Up.
All
There
right,
you go.
Let's see what we've got here. Go ahead and play the sound again, because there was something else I thought was funny about this.
Those of us who don't play this game at this level, like, you know it was a mistake, and you're saying they played harder than you guys, you didn't fight them hard enough. How is that possible?
What do you mean?
How is it possible to not fight hard enough in games?
What are you talking about? They played harder than us. It's okay. We played hard, but they played harder. What's your point? I don't get it.
My point is, you're saying you guys got out-fought, and I'm saying
That happens in the game, though. That's basketball.
in game 5, we didn't.
There's that.
You're saying
You good? You good, bro? You looking for something? I know. But damn. No. But I'm telling you though. I told you. What else you want me to tell you?
Well, what you tell me how. That's all I'm asking.
Well, what about you telling me? So go ahead. Who's this guy? What's your name, bro? Oh.
That's me turning my head back and forth, like, because I'm like, is this really happening right
On
now?
the scene.
To check out his body.
Yes. Unmistakably
This
your
is
head.
the reason that I found it funny, though. For how long do you imagine that Pascal Siakam has been interviewed after games? 15 years? Or 10 years?
About 10 years, yeah.
10 years going back. For 10 years, he's been trotting out, they just played harder than us. Never expecting a follow-up. Never expecting any damage to be done. Just they played harder than us. I've been saying this for 10 years, and you know what I've done? I've ridden for 10 years as Pascal Siakam. Nobody cares what I have to say about anything because I just say they played harder than us, and it's okay. And he wasn't expecting a follow-up, and it's a good follow-up. Well, how is that possible? He doesn't know, or they wouldn't have gotten their asses kicked in that game.
How long has Greg Doyle been a columnist? 20 years?
Yeah, a long time.
A long time.
He got in trouble with the Caitlin Clark
thing,
comments. Yeah.
How long has he been where it took him to figure out, I'm going to ask the follow-up about playing hard? Like an old dog.
No one ever does, though. Why
Exactly.
would they? We have accepted they played harder than us since it was invented, and we go on our merry way. No one's ever been brave enough to ask how. How is that possible? Why would they play harder than you?
See how it's done, Dad? You swoop in for the playoffs, you ask a tough question, you make some news.
Greg Doyle is very good at what he does. I support him entirely.
Is it 1 G or 2 Gs?
Entirely?
2 Gs. We don't like that.
Ooh, we don't like that.
We don't like the 2 Gs.
No.
Entirely? You support him on the Caitlin Clark thing, or you
No,
don't
no,
remember
no.
that
And
He did defend him
controversy?
there.
No, he went overboard with the Caitlin Clark Leary kind of comment, and he admitted later that he was very wrong.
So it's not 100%. You don't ride with
In this
Greg
case,
Doyle.
I do. I thought his follow-up question was very legit.
I love the question because then the real answer after that is, well, they care more than we do about their jobs.
But he said not, though, Siakam, to his credit.
Well, he didn't want to follow it up with. The real answer would be what? Yeah, we were playing in New York. We knew we were coming back home, and the game didn't matter that much to us. So all of a sudden, all of our players played poorly. Every last one of them.
Now, the funny thing about that press conference, I don't think it reveals, but, I told Juju the other night, because I was there, him and Halliburton, they were incredibly relaxed for a team that got its ass kicked, and now we've got to go back and win the game 6. Usually in that situation, you got a player say, hey, we got to win back at home because we're not going to come back here. And all. No, these guys are like, we got it. They seem so confident. I was thrown off by it. And so I know that exchange, he got a little irritated. I think it was because Greg kept going after him over and over again. But overall, his demeanor in that press conference was super relaxed. And what we saw on Saturday, I was like, oh, yeah, it makes sense. They knew they had this.
I don't believe that Indiana has any chance in this series, but if they do, we're going to have to rethink how we thought about Pascal Siakam. Because
So the Miami Heat.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard is going to get credit for winning a championship without any help, even though this man was at his side, and he was a problem in this series. Like his physicality, even in a game when the Knicks were coming through and it was just knees to the junk. Knees to the junk. We're going to come in knees to the junk. Pascal Siakam was a handful for everybody. Like he was
a franchise changer to a degree. I mean, I know Halliburton came online, but you acquire a Siakam to further aid in the development of a superstar. That was one of those moves that went kind of – it was an understated move because everyone was whale chasing, and he was one of the guys that Miami kind of poked around and decided not worth our draft capital. And now he's totally changed the fortunes of the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the Pacers when they did that deal, it was absolutely a chips to the middle of the table thing because they realized, man, Halliburton is special, and we need to get him the supporting cast. If you remember, the guy that they traded away was Bruce Brown, who had just won a championship with Denver. Great role player, but a role player. And Siakam is an all-star caliber player, obviously a former champion, former G League champion. And so he brings that kind of gravitas that they needed to take their program to the next level.
Why did you just do former G League champion?
I didn't know that about him.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
I didn't know that he was in that grind. The G stands for grind.
Him and Fred VanVleet, they won a championship for the Raptors G League team. And a lot of people point to that as like these were the seeds of championship Toronto.
All right.
And Kawhi.
So as we follow the storylines of a season, right, because I do believe that basketball will suffer in this next round from just tropes. Like, I don't want the new thing, small markets, whatever, even though these are two, I believe, interesting stories. And not just that, interesting stories at a time that we spent the entire season talking about Luka, talking about LeBron, talking about Steph, talking about Jason Tatum, talking about Edwards, talking about Ja Morant. Who was going to be next? Who was going to be next? Who was going to be next? Oh, okay. It's going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and it's going to be a Pacer team that we have to tell the stories about somebody. And the third story in this series is Siakam, is it not? Like, this is how names get made this time of year. I was telling you about where are Tatum's moments. Halliburton got the moments in a series that Nesmith and Siakam won. Halliburton got the moment, the moment. And so I ask this as a serious question. Siakam's already more highly regarded than he was 4 or 5 games ago, correct? Siakam has just made some sort of leap in terms of reputation outside of basketball because we have to fill these storylines with somebody, and Chet Holmgren will be here soon enough, but the Pacers were the surprise.
Yeah, the Pacers surprised, and he was the one that was their most consistent player in the conference finals. You know, that's the other thing about Halliburton, Dan. He had the moment, you could say that. He also had a lot of, like, disappearing acts within that conference finals, and that's really the reason I think the spread between him and Siakam in terms of winning MVP was that. I think the voters were saying Siakam was the guy that showed up pretty much almost every night, and Halliburton kind of came and went.
But in a series that demanded his and Naismith and Nesmith, everything they were doing there physically, I mean, like to bother Brunson. I haven't seen Brunson that bothered all season. This was the wear down of 7 games. This was him being worn down on defense. I don't think Knicks fans recognized Brunson being ground to dust by the sheer physicality of their wing players, of Indiana's wings.
I guess it's a form of physicality. What it was Indiana understood that we play fast and they don't. And so if you listen to the way they talk, whether it was Halliburton, whether it was Rick Carlisle, they kept saying it's day 1 of 13. It's day 2. They kept emphasizing that this thing is a marathon in which we sprint every mile, and they can't. They're going to try it, but they can't. And what we saw was in Game 6 in particular, but really this is a cumulative effect, the Knicks just got tired. They could not keep up with the Pacers running after misses, didn't matter. And then as they got tired,
the minutes of the season, the minutes of the year catching up to them,
the depth of their rotation versus the Knicks rotation. Although Tom Thibodeau did relent and start playing more of his bench, and what ended up happening in Game 6 is when you're tired, you start making mistakes. The Knicks defense started to suffer greatly because they were tired of making tired mistakes. And then for Brunson, when you see what Nembhard did to him in Game 6, 6 steals for Nembhard, right? Hounding and harassing Brunson. That, again, is the cumulative effect of, boss, I'm tired, man. I can't, I don't have anything more, and the Pacers do. And that's why I kept saying it's, first of all, the talent level wasn't that disparate, but more importantly, the Pacers had a more effective game plan, and they executed.
I'm curious whether or not you guys are going to get swept up in the sheer athleticism of what we're talking about, where Chet Holmgren, best rim protector in the league by percentage, says identifies as athlete. Doesn't say he plays a position, says athlete is what he plays. He's got that team is youthful, has uncommon swagger, and both styles are fun, and we can say youthful, right?
Yeah.
Siakam is an elder. He's the wise elder.
Miles Turner's also been around for a bit.
Yeah, Miles Turner. How about Miles Turner? Like, imagine every day hearing your house is going to get foreclosed, and then like the bank put it off a little bit more, and then one day you're like, you know what? Not only is it not getting foreclosed, here's some cash.
Can I ask you this question? I've always liked Miles Turner as a player,
yes,
and always Miles Turner is available, and nobody seems to want him, and I don't totally understand.
I think he is the perfect, whatever, there's an intersection of lines of like value versus desire and stuff, and he is the exact level of good enough for everyone to want, but not good enough to demand the price that they're asking for. And so that equilibrium point is where he lives. Almost getting traded, but not quite.
Hold on a second.
How does he fit in this series, too?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked this question because I came up with this remarkable theory that the Indiana Pacers are really good. It's just that Oklahoma City is literally the same thing, but way better, right?
That was like the Panthers with Carolina Hurricanes, not to go hockey.
But that's also a recipe for Indiana to steal a couple games.
Sure. So it's like Indiana says, we've got a center who blocks shots at the rim, and also he shoots threes. And Oklahoma City says, ours does too. He also leads the league in rim percentage defense, and also he can bring the ball up and make plays. Oh, okay. Well, guess what? We have a defensive pest of a perimeter player who can guard guys bigger than him, and Andrew Nembhard. And the Thunder say, yeah, we got one too. His name's Lou Dort, and he's all defensive team. Oh, okay. Well, we got a point guard from the future. He controls everything. He's brilliant. He's dynamic. He's got all these moments. And the Thunder said, cool. Yeah, ours was MVP of the league. Oh, okay, well, let's talk about benches. We got a white guy who comes off the bench who's scrappy, who gets into defensively and hits big shots in TJ McConnell. And the Thunder say, cool, we've got NBA champion Alex Caruso. Every level that the Indiana Pacers bring, the Thunder have the same thing. It's just a little bit better than what they have.
I'm actually getting more excited for this series. Hearing you describe that, it makes me think it's going to be better than people realize.
It's absolutely good from a basketball perspective. Look, and let's all make an agreement. If you don't work for Disney or if you don't work for the NBA, get the fuck out of my face with ratings talk. Why do you care? Why do people, the layperson, care about what
it's
the
going to
ratings
be
are?
very fun basketball.
It's amazing basketball. It's going to be fun. Up-tempo. You've got personalities. You've got someone who's very willing to be America's villain in Tyrese Halliburton. You've got two excellent coaches. You've got guys on one side who've won a championship and guys on the other side who've won a championship. All of this is culminating over the next 8 to 14 days, depending on how long the series goes. But it's not going to be boring. I promise you that.
When he says, though, Pesk, okay, because I don't know how I'm going to sell this part to America because I'm with Amin on everything. It's delightful to watch the young people take over. You've heard me say, I think Jokic is the best thing I've ever seen offensively for efficiencies, and I saw OKC hunt him down like hunting dogs. Like it felt like if this is all survival of the fittest, the physically fittest, seeing that team chase down Westbrook and Jokic, that team, because it now wants to be the champion, and Indiana is the same kind of young and hungry as well. But when he says Pesk, it's a good deal better than that for Nembhard, because what I'm telling you is I've not seen Brunson look like that all season. Ground down to dust when it's like, oh, it's not even going to be Nesmith fighting through every screen now. Now it's going to be this guy, Nembhard. So he holds Brunson to 38% and 30% shooting, but he also held Donovan Mitchell to 23% and 16% shooting. Like, it's a little more than Pesk there, what I saw at the end of that game. I saw somebody being discussed as the most beloved Knick ever drown and die at the end because his coach had run the entire team into the ground. They didn't have anything from their bench, and now they're turning the ball over. When in that sport, that's the greatest advantage OKC has. They protect the basketball, and they steal it. They do it better than anybody. They have a better combination of doing that than historically great teams.
Right, like what the Pacers did to the Knicks, pressure, full court pressure, turning them over, turning steals into live ball turnovers, layups, points. That's Oklahoma City does it better than anyone, right? And so you're right about Andrew Nembhard. Maybe I am selling him short. What I'm not selling short is that Lou Dort is better. Like, that's the part. It's not that the Pacers aren't good. It's that every version they have, like, to go back to car analogies, you've got a Toyota Highlander. I've got a Lexus Land Cruiser.
Okay, so let me ask.
There can be only one.
Let me ask you if there can only be one, the great one, okay? Because when he mentions Lou Dort, I'm thinking physically, okay? Just physically, Lou Dort is a different thing than Nembhard, just size-wise. When you look at the great one, Wayne Gretzky, what's the size difference between him and Connor McDavid?
Wayne's small.
I know, but when Billy makes fun of McDavid being the fastest player
Billy
on
Hamilton.
the ice, and when
but this is also Billy Hamilton hits like Barry Bonds. Yeah. You're minimizing his accomplishments.
McDavid,
he's Barry Bonds, but with Billy Hamilton.
He's not Ohtani.
Connor McDavid's using steroids.
He's faster
Actually,
than
Florida is.
He's faster than everyone, and he's bigger than most. Is he not? What are the dimensions of McDavid versus versus Gretzky.
McDavid versus Goliath.
He's only 6'2", McDavid. People think he's like 6'6", right?
Only.
Yeah, I mean,
Who
that's not,
thinks he's 6'6"?
That's not extraordinarily tall.
Fastest
6'2".
though at 6'2".
He is fast.
He's not just fast.
He's the
He's the fastest person on the planet playing that sport.
Yes,
he's
so is
Ted Ginn
arguably
Jr.
the fastest to ever play.
Right, and yet he's never won a
It's not just
championship.
speed, skill with the puck, handles on the puck, elite.
It's a team sport, dude.
Yes, so's basketball.
Yeah.
Boom.
There's 5 guys on the ice. There's 5 guys on the wood. If you're an extraordinary basketball player, you lead your team to a championship.
Crystal clear. Crystal clear. I think he'll get it. Maybe, hopefully not this time, but I know where you stand on the all-time rankings. But he's the best player in the world. It's clear.
All right. Well, Wayne Gretzky is 6 feet tall, 185 pounds. Conor McDavid is 6'1", 194 pounds.
There is
Not
just
similar.
no way.
No, you say
Wayne
that-
Gretzky is that height.
No.
There's no. I mean, I stood next to him on
next
an
to him,
elevator.
yeah.
He's a
Whoa.
tiny. Well, I had to bring that out
Well, maybe on
contextually.
skates.
It's not a look at me,
Come
Louie.
on, it is a look at me, Louie.
No, it's a
Come
catch me
on.
on context.
Is he a get in and go to the corner kind of guy? Was he
Yeah.
standing in the middle? What was like his demeanor in the elevator?
Yeah.
Does he touch
Conversation
multiple
with him.
floors to be a rascal?
Oh, what a rascal.
That was. I don't get starstruck, but he has a presence about
He seems
him.
like a back corner guy. Like, I'm going in there. I don't want to be recognized. I'm just going to go back right corner, just kind of stand
It
here.
sounds
It could be.
like he was too small, though, too. It sounds like you expected him to be larger.
Well, I'm 6'3", and I was, by comparison, these guys are larger than life personas.
The aura, though.
Yeah. But if he was wearing skates, he'd be closer to my height.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's it.
Yeah, he'd be taller on skates, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Well,
that's
then
how
he
that
is
works, I
normally,
think.
yeah.
I think so,
Sometimes
yeah.
you're
Always.
shorter.
I urinated next to Clint Black, the country star. Once.
Whoa.
How'd that go?
He's very short. He was wearing his hat, his cowboy hat at the time, and I was still taller than him.
When you first said it, I thought you meant Bud Black, the manager, former
no,
manager.
Clint Black.
Clint Black only 5'9".
Yeah,
Tiny
exactly.
guy.
Yeah.
You say that Conor McDavid is the fastest skater in the league. You know who's the slowest skater in the league?
Clint Black.
Matty Tkachuk.
Ah, champion,
He's
though.
very slow.
All right, so that's a mean throwing in a Clint Black for no good reason, and he's going to just leave now because
I thought it was a valid reference by him.
show.
If Clint Black was in the league, he'd probably be the slowest skater.
Especially if he skated in a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Mike Ryan, how do you feel about McOverrated T-shirts selling like crazy as Panther fans taunt Connor McDavid, bringing back Greg Cody's finest moment last year?
Thank you. Buy him up.
If you mentioned Panthers fans, I'm really worried about how Panthers fans are going to behave this postseason. Part of me is happy that the series opens up in Edmonton for the first 2 games because you can frame something that maybe Panthers fans were going to do either way as a retaliatory measure, because this is a very heightened geopolitical time between these countries. I remember last year there were folks that were idiots in that crowd booing the anthem, and this was before a reality TV show host told them to start hating them. So I'm very worried about how we're going to do this down here in South Florida. And the McOverrated thing is just one ridiculous part about it. But I think we're going to see something. The deeper you get into what is widely expected to be a tightly contested series, one that many people are saying is going to go the entire distance, I think with everything going on between the two nations right now, there's going to be some pretty ugly scenes. And I'm really worried. I'm hopeful. Really hopeful that cooler heads prevail down here in South Florida and we don't up the ante on something that we hear maybe in games 1 and 2.
That is the correct perspective, of course, and I would just say, so ratchet it up to the funniest possible, most dangerous place that doesn't make us lament and regret saying that. So just ratchet.
We leave out dangerous.
No, just the between Canada. Look, this has always been fun. Come on, Florida stealing Canada's sport. Florida, the modern day Gretzky.
I know how it can get between these two nations. Around we went to the 4 nations.
I mean, I said some things.
And that's when all the things went down.
Yes.
And Chris Cody said some very regrettable things.
And Florida is very red hot, and people are going to be crazy. Yes, you guys all said crazy things. You guys wanted Tkachuk to sever his own head for a title.
Worth it.
Yes.
Worth it.
All right.
Because we were on that front line in Montreal as everything was happening around us.
Billy brought up steroids for some reason. I don't know.
I didn't. Mike brought it up.
Okay, I wanted to ask you guys this because on Friday night, like it really was funny to watch in Dodgers Yankees, Ohtani and Judge just be so much better at baseball than everyone else, that they're just meeting and then both hitting home runs. And I just wanted to ask you guys in general on the damage that steroids did to baseball. Would it all feel a lot different in baseball right now if Ohtani and Judge were chasing their own home run records or baseball's home run records? I'm asking you seriously. Two guys who are physically bigger than all of the steroid monsters that were hitting the home runs when baseball was played differently a million years ago. Would it make any difference if Ohtani was now just chasing, if Aaron Judge and Ohtani were just chasing each other's single-season home run records, like post-steroids, where I don't think anyone's assuming either one of these guys are cheating?
Are you suggesting, like, if they had a Maguire-Sosa thing amongst them as Ohtani and Judge right now for those two franchises, man, I don't know if anything can ever match that Sosa-Maguire home run chase, but it would probably be the best thing for baseball that you could possibly ask for.
What I'm saying to you is baseball simply will not have a way to break through to these places where basketball and football or soccer grab people's hearts if this isn't the story that does it for you. Two clean superstars, and clean in every way. Like, nobody says anything bad. I mean, even the gambling thing went away. What? Who gets bad stuff said about him?
Clean in every way. I mean, we don't know that. We thought everyone was clean until they were found to be dirty.
That's a good point.
But what they're giving off.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. Look at Aaron Judge.
The optics of.
I heard Ipe hasn't even reported to prison yet. Like, is that true? How is that possible?
He'll get pardoned.
Some think that he didn't really have anything to do with it.
You know what I'm saying, though, Billy? If this story doesn't make baseball pop, because I know how baseball heads are looking at it, they can't believe that Judge is hitting 400 and Ohtani's the better player. Like, that Ohtani does both things. It's weird to see at the same time. It's not just home runs. It's mastery of the sport in a way we haven't seen.
And you're not even talking about the biggest star in the sport, the big dumper. Yeah, big dumper. Doing it from the catcher position with the best slugging percentage in the league. Why aren't you mentioning Cal Raleigh?
Big Dumper and PCA should have been easy keepers for me, and I didn't keep them in fantasy. But you guys don't care about that.
Damn.
I mean, Dan, it's June 2nd. No one's going to talk about Ohtani and Judge today. It's June 2nd.
We're talking about Big Dumper.
Yeah.
The biggest story in baseball is the Colorado Rockies chasing the 1899 most losses in a season.
They're
record.
9-50.
Chasing Scheffler for most wins since we have a graphic where Scotty Scheffler and the Rockies have the same amount of wins
since May, since the beginning of May. The betting lines I'm seeing, the Rockies are playing against the Cubs, and the Cubs are like minus 380. What is the ruling of the committee? Is Stugotz is nominated? I need some sort of formal ruling from the committee. He has nominated Joe Musgrove. Billy is passionately against. Chris, are you willing to give him horse status, because horse status is before ace? Horse is not an ace.
Chris, before you answer, I have good news on the Knuckleballer front. There is still one remaining. Mickey Janis of the Orioles is still throwing it.
Okay? The worst team in the league.
He's still out there, though, keeping the species alive.
It also
will not
seems
go
extinct. Mickey Janis has only pitched one game in 2021.
Oh.
In Major League Baseball.
He's still trying.
Still breath in my lungs.
Yeah.
He is currently with the Chicago Dogs of the American Association of Professional Baseball, which I don't think is in Major League Baseball. So it is extinct. So it is extinct for now, yeah.
But extinct in the majors doesn't make it extinct as a species.
Yeah, exactly.
This may surprise you, Dan, but there are only 33 pitchers who have ever thrown a knuckleball in a major league game, according to Wikipedia. Which I was surprised how small that number was.
I don't think that's wrong, Billy. Why would you think that's wrong?
That's wrong.
Let's all name knuckleballers we can think of and see.
Well, no, we'd never come up with 33 of them. 33 sounds about right to me. It's a terrifying way to make a living. Imagine all these guys. They're just failed pitchers who developed some other.
Whoa!
Failed pitchers.
Someone with like a 15, 20-year career is a failed pitcher.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy Moyer is not a knuckleballer. You made him a knuckleballer just because he throws
Tim
soft.
Wakefield, across decades.
There are a couple of guys who are exceptions, but largely the knuckleballer is a novelty freak who comes out, and it is hard to make a living that way.
Jeez.
Freak, what are you
I don't
doing?
like how you're describing these things.
Right?
Rude.
Isn't Phil Niekro in the Hall of Fame? I mean,
is he? I don't think so.
You don't think so?
He is in the Hall of Fame.
319 wins.
There are 4 knuckleballers.
What was his career?
What's your standard for the Hall of Fame?
No, that's my bad.
274 losses.
No, that's my bad. He just pitched forever, and I should know that.
Nickname Nuxty. Compiler.
That is a classic compiler right there. Phil
Dangerous
Niekro
nickname.
in the Hall of Fame with 300 wins and 280 losses.
Jesus, he pitched for 24 years.
He had
started 716 games.
He had a 3.35 ERA. I mean, that's legit good.
He pitched in Major League Baseball until he was
It's not?
48.
You're right, Stugotz. I stand corrected. It is my bad. I should have known. I think of Phil and Joe Niekro as the same kind of pitchers, and they are not. Joe Niekro was not a Hall of Famer, and Phil Niekro was. But go ahead and Google image search Phil Niekro so you could see. Please enjoy. I want you visually to enjoy what he looked like in a Braves uniform. And you tell me if that is a baseball Hall of Famer, the way that you look at bodies today.
It's like Christopher Lloyd.
You need.
He does.
He looks like
Doc Brown.
He looks like Gary Busey in that movie with Henry Rowan Gardner. What was it? Rookie of the Year.
He looks like a bit. Also, Gaylord Perry looked like this too. The old pitcher in the movie Major League, the old slop ball thrower. He's just an old man on the mound, is what he is. Jessica, what is your opinion here?
He looks like
That is
a
not
retired
him.
chemistry
Wait a minute.
professor.
Yes,
That's him when he's still playing?
His hair is so long, and I think it's coming out of his ears.
He's wearing a polo under that shirt.
Listen
That
to me.
can't be right.
This is what.
He looks like Uncle Dick.
Listen, when you can throw the
Yeah.
knuckleball
Uncle
the way
Dick got a
Phil
hole in
did,
one.
He does look like
right?
a
He
Cody.
did. You can pitch
It's the
forever.
ear hair.
Yeah.
That's right. It's time for. And it's presented by DraftKings. DraftKings. The crown is yours. Mike Ryan, lead us off.
French Open tomorrow. Roland Garros. Tommy Paul takes on Carlos Alcaraz. Alcaraz is on clay. He's great. However, head-to-head, 4-2. Tommy Paul does pretty well against Alcaraz. This is the preferred surface, though. However, if you watch Alcaraz, he usually drops his set to an inferior opponent. He did so yesterday against an American. So I think Tommy Paul can hang around and at least get a set. So I'm taking Tommy Paul plus 2.5 against the spread.
Third Paul brother.
No relation.
He's hard to beat by the Alcaraz on clay. I know from playing topspin. This guy's amazing.
Yeah. Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. The Edmonton Oilers will be hosting the Florida Panthers. The prize, well, for that game, the prize is just a 1-0 series lead. But overall in the series, the prize, Lord Stanley's Cup. The Edmonton Oilers, who famously lost last year's Stanley Cup, are 1.5 goal favorites. They have the Billy Hamilton of hockey, some are saying. I'm going to take the Florida Panthers plus 1.5 in Edmonton. Normally here I would say I don't know if they're going to lose the game or win the game, but I don't think they're going to lose by 2 goals. Friends, they may win by 3 goals.
What?
They may not, but they may.
They may.
And that's why I'm going to take the Florida Panthers. Statement game, Dano.
I am embarrassed to admit this, but I am impressed with Logan Paul as a wrestler. He survived the Uso frog splash and John Cena's heel turn the other day, and I was just impressed. I was just impressed by him as a wrestler. I wasn't expecting to. To be
how you
watching
doing on confidence?
wrestling on Saturday night.
How you doing on confidence? Because you just mentioned John Cena's heel turn in the middle of
That Uso frog splash is taking down.
It is.
his
It's
name.
tough to kick out of. Logan Paul's a natural at it. He's really good at it. I'm jealous at how good he is at just picking something up that is very hard to pin down.
How'd you feel about R-Truth getting release there, Dan.
Not nearly as bad as the rest of the locker room felt, huh? They've been very vocal about that. I do think. Wait, is the portal open? I think TKO and WWE should tread very lightly. Whoa. I don't know if you guys saw what they did, but The Rock made a whole big deal about announcing New Orleans. We're coming here for WrestleMania. Deal's done. We'll see you. Yeah. And then a couple weeks later, like, hey, actually, no, New Orleans. You get another show. And New Orleans did not like this. They just chase the money and decide, wrestling fans, wrestling world, back-to-back years in Las Vegas. No one wants to see the same venue. They don't do that. That's unprecedented. Outside of like the early part of WrestleMania where they ran back-to-backs at Trump's Atlantic City resort. This is not something that we do. Why do you do this? Well, there's more money for TKO to grab with the infrastructure of Las Vegas and have a whole bunch of pop-ups over there. TKO has been all about the money. Nick Khan's been amazing at generating revenue. However, and I don't think they'll actually lose viewers in this, but what you're going to do is give a passionate fan base a voice that they often exercise. And I think this is very bold of WWE to continue chasing the dollars, price out some of their diehard fans. You're making an alternative more desirable. And I think if you keep pushing on this, because that's an insane heat check to announce a WrestleMania, take it away from a market that has hosted several before, and put it back in Las Vegas. That's as transparent of a revenue grab as possible. I do think you run the risk of running people off.
Okay, this is interesting, though. You're really making the argument on behalf of cheapening wrestling with a soullessness that is about greed and commerce. That's what you're saying, that you cheapen the wrestling fan's real passion if you price him or her out because you just grab dollars greedily. When has that ever stopped the NFL?
It hasn't. And when has it ever really stopped WWE? I would note that if you follow history, they ran house shows at a loss so parts of America could have access to seeing their favorite superstars because they realize over time that's a long investment. They did the Saudi thing. TKO's come in. They've totally revolutionized and maximized their business model. However, they do things that kind of push the diehards away. Now, the diehards are the diehards for a reason. They stuck around through the 2010s. There's nothing that you can do to shake these people off. But I do think as you go head-to-head in markets and try to cut off AEW, they very clearly view AEW as a competitor, despite AEW not really being a competitor financially. It's apples and oranges. But they want to squash their competition. They want to make it so they can have a monopoly again. And I do think that a very vocal fan base, such as professional wrestling fans are, will take the opportunity if you give them one. And you're inventing an opportunity right now by doing this with these cash grabs. I myself am feeling it. I'm like, this kind of feels a little bit more superficial than it used to.
You'll still be there, though.
That always, that's the thing. Job. No, see, that's the thing, though. That's why all of those threats are empty, and that's why diehards are diehards. All of that is frustrated bluster to just say, you cheapen my sport. You run the risk of losing me. No, they don't. No, that's why
How close was the frog splash kick out? Just out of curiosity, was like a 2 that like was almost 3, or like
I thought it was over. It was clearly over. It had to be over. Nobody surprised it. Nobody survives that, right?
I think if you paid attention to what they were doing with the ticket sales and how tickets just get released closer that you get to bell ring, like I don't think there's the same kind of interest because they're chasing a more affluent type of fan. And I think certain fans are going to be priced out of going to shows, and that's how you fortify a big following. That's how you establish these connections. That's how you have little kids high-five Jey Uso, and you're like, wow, my day has been made. I'm a fan for life. I do think that they're going to end up pushing people to an alternative because they may not be able to afford being able to go to shows.
As I say, let's just climb over all of the problematic stuff around Logan Paul. And more impressive than I thought as a wrestler.
Art from artist.
Greg Cody, the thing that I wanted to ask you that I wasn't sure why it was being brought up earlier is I heard you simply talking about both hitchhikers and what you were calling the age of hitchhikers. I understand that this is a featured topic on a upcoming episode of the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody as Greg Cody fills us with tales of an America where people would hitchhike long before the popularity of the serial murderer.
Yeah, it's actually in the current episode of the Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody that's out today. Drops every Monday wherever you pod. And also check us out visually on our YouTube channel. The gold, I was very fortunate to grow up in what I call the golden age of hitchhiking, which I would say was the early 70s to mid 70s. It was a fairly small window for me.
Also, the golden era of murders.
Well, I'm in my teens and into my early 20s, and this was the golden age of hitchhiking. And yes, I did partake. I thumbed a couple of times, but mostly if I was in a car with another buddy of mine, this is when Greg Cody had long hair. And, I was never a hippie. I was actually too young to be a full-fledged hippie. But, we partook a little bit. And so if we're in a car and we see a thumb on the side of the road and it looks like somebody simpatico who may be carrying something that we could torch up, maybe we're going to pick him up.
Whoa, partook.
Maybe we're going to give him a,
you were.
Let's follow that. What are you going to give him?
Well, he gives us we give him a few miles. He gives us a couple of tokes, and we call it a day. We let him off around the bend, give him a wave, give him a bro wave, and then we're gone.
Yeah. You ever meet any friends that way, Greg, or no?
No.
No? No memorable stories?
No, these are short.
These are just stories to be told as Grandpa tells you the stories of his ribald past.
Right.
And he admits for the first time publicly to.
No, we've admitted that before. Look, I'm not a saint, believe me.
So that's when you were the person picking up the hitchhiker. When you were hitchhiking, would you bring a little?
There you go.
Would you bring a little something to like, hey, I got a little something to since you. That's how it works. Apparently, you're looking for people to smoke with.
Yeah, no, I'm looking for people to provide.
No, I'm saying when you're hitchhiking.
When you were thumbing.
Yeah.
Would you have something like, hey guys, I got a little something?
No.
Oh, so when you're hitchhiking,
right? Yeah, you gotta be careful.
What'd you do it for? Just a thrill, or you need to get somewhere?
I needed to get somewhere.
Yeah.
That was back in the day, and the Opel GT station wagon was in the shop.
Yeah.
I had to get someplace.
It's not that different than Uber, right? You're getting in a stranger's car. You don't know that stranger.
Yeah, that's a very good point by Billy. Because he's right. Everybody thinks, oh, hitchhiking, how dangerous. Who would do that? You're calling an Uber. You got a total stranger picking you up in God knows what kind of vehicle.
Yeah.
You
usually know because it'll tell you. But
everything's a dice roll now.
Exactly right.
It's really not.
Yeah.
You get an exact license plate.
No, sometimes you look and they tell you, no, the other car's in the shop. And you're like, I hope this person's telling me the truth.
Right.
Murders and rapists really ruin hitchhiking, huh? I guess they ruin everything for the most part.
Yeah, they really do. They don't know how to have fun, those people.
Well, I mean, their fun is different than what we would define as fun, which is what gets them in trouble.
Eventually hitchhiking became against the law.
Yeah.
They outlawed it. It was all, even back in the day, it was against the law to hitchhike on like a major highway.
For now.
You never saw a thumb on 95.
Yeah.
But you could do it in the back roads. And then they outlawed even that. So, but it was easy to hitchhike if it was against the law because you saw a cop car coming a mile away.
And you said, I'm stretching out the old thumb,
Just act like you're scratching your head.
Exactly right. You go like this, and you go, I was just saying.
Exactly right.
Then slow down. You say, I'm just giving you a thumbs up for
Yeah.
a job well done.
Exactly.
Thank you for your service.
Good job,
Thank you for your
officer.
service.
Thank you for your protection, officer.
Put it
That
on.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Dan, you ever hitchhike?
Put it on the poll. No. At Le Batard Show, did murders and rapists ruin hitchhiking?
Without a doubt. Are you saying that they made it better, Dan? That's a take.
I'm putting up
They
a
did not
poll
improve it.
question. I'm not saying anything. I'm just putting up a funny poll question. You and Greg Cody talking about hitchhikers, and Greg specifically talking about his tawdry past that I want Chris, the investigator, to continue asking him questions because it seems like Greg was only getting into cars and then bumming weed off of people. It doesn't seem like
it seems like he had this standard that if he was going to pick up a hitchhiker, they needed to have something to smoke. But when he was hitchhiking, he never felt the need to supply hey, I got something we could smoke.
No, I mean, come on, you didn't carry it around.
But you're saying that you were hoping someone that was hitchhiking did carry it around
during your most dangerous days, because you really are looking back fondly at what a rascal you were, at what a scoundrel you were back when you were a hippie hitchhiker.
What I'm trying to convey is that back then it was pretty common. Okay, it was common.
So it's like I got to go to the store. What are my options? I could drive, or I could just go out and hitchhike.
You did it a couple of times. I'm not overselling it. Nobody spends 10 years hitchhiking, okay? Hitchhiking is sort of a sad thing. You do it when your car's beat up and broke down, or you do it just, you pick up somebody for ulterior reasons. which in my case had to do with a puff here, a puff there.
Did people ever have the thing
That'll
from
do ya.
Pee Wee Herman, like the stick and like
Bindle?
the little thing attached to it?
And no, you're talking about hobo. I did ride the rails for a time.
Did you?
As a hobo.
Jeez.
No,
Is that so?
Hey, yo.
I'm just
You never know, Greg. I
I'm
mean, you've
just
lived a
kidding.
colorful life. You know, my dad hitchhiked from Sudan to Europe.
What?
Yeah, like just ferries and boats and trucks and stuff like that all the way through. Didn't even speak the language.
If you take
and
a
have those
ferry, is
countries.
it hitchhiking? Can we put that on the poll? I mean,
How do you hitchhike on a boat?
I think it's possible.
Put it on the
Someone
poll
swimming,
at
like-
Le Batard Show. Can you hitchhike on a boat at Le Batard Show? Or can you hitchhike not on a boat? It would be hitchhiking
From
near,
boat to
near
boat.
a boat.
Yeah.
in the ocean with your thumb up,
yes,
like,
can-
hey!
can- But
Hey,
please.
cruise ship, stop!
All right, you guys, though, this is the problem. Things are moving a little too fast. I think you guys all missed Greg Cody adding another catchphrase to his repertoire, and you guys didn't even hear it.
What was it?
A little dab will do ya.
Oh,
Brooklyn,
He
got
threw it
that
in
right.
under his breath, and nobody heard it because there were too many shots going off around here.
Yep.
And I don't even understand the context you were using it in because I've never heard you say that before.
Right. Yeah, it's a popular phrase from back in the day. Brill cream, a little dabble do you. In this case, you take a puff. The joints were passed around. You have a puff, a little
Okay, you
dabble do
mentioned
you.
this already. Okay.
How would
this
that
is-
work? You just like the person gets in and you're like,
I
got any
don't
grass?
totally believe him all of a sudden. Like
What?
the story's got
Talking a
so,
big game.
The story's
No.
got so few details that now I think he's just making up stories we can't verify. That he hasn't hitchhiked.
Detail.
You
What do you want?
Your story,
nerd.
Put it on the poll,
You a
Juju,
cop? What's
at
going
Le
on?
Batard Show. Is hitchhiking kind of sad?
Dad, give us a detailed story of you picking someone up. They had weed to smoke.
Any
like,
kind of story from 50 years ago.
Okay.
Wild, crazy, hitchhiking Greg Cody.
All right, let me give you a bulletin here. When you pick up someone while hitchhiking, the first thing you do is you don't get. Could you give me your ID, please? Show me your driver's license, because gotta make sure you're on the up and up before I give you a lift for 2.5 miles. That's not the way it works, kid. It's just not the way it works.
What do you say? Which way you heading, stranger?
Where to?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
is it just
Yeah.
expected that whichever way you're heading, they go?
Well, yeah, they're
of
walking
course.
that
You're
side
not
of the
gonna,
road.
you're not going to turn around. You're not going to say, "Hey, buddy, where can I take you? Where do you want to go?"
That'd be a jerk move.
Yeah,
But
you're
I'm like, I'm actually heading the other way.
I'm going on a straight line. If you want to come with me for 1.5 miles, go ahead.
I mean, why are you walking on that side of the road?
That's fair. But
If you're going in the other direction, you'd pick the other road.
Yeah, I never whipped a U-turn on
Never.
behalf of someone I just picked
Wow.
up.
So how do you like? Is it awkward at the beginning when you're trying to see if they're carrying anything, or you just flat out would ask them? Like,
it's
What's a good-
implied?
you don't pick somebody up unless you read.
Yeah.
what's a good icebreaker for a
Read the
hitchhiker?
type.
Grass, ass, or cash?
There you go.
No.
Can you turn off that music, please? I've
Yeah,
had enough
please.
of that music.
Seriously,
Greg Cody has run out of material here. He's tired of being badgered. Look at him. He looks like he's been beaten down by this interrogation.
He looks like Jalen Brunson in Game 6.
Yes, you
Seriously,
look
yeah.
tired. There were holes in the story. I feel like
There were no holes in the story.
That voice got high there.
I like him. Billy, you saw Gronk on a scooter this weekend.
I saw a video of Gronk on a scooter, but it was around this area.
This would be a
By
good
the Arch Center, I think.
Yeah.
area for
Really?
Gronk to be on a scooter. I meant to ask you guys this question. Can you look this up for me? There are so many electric bikes right now in South Florida that there must be more hospitalizations than there have ever been in South Florida because so many people are getting around this way all over South Florida.
Dan, early in the show, you were incredulous that a Toyota Corolla could carry $1 million worth of gold bricks.
Yeah.
I'm incredulous that a scooter could carry Gronk. How is it not scraping? Why are there not sparks coming out of the bottom of this thing? Oh, my God, man.
And I think he hit the car that was like doing a video of him with the joking, "Watch where you're going, asshole." Classic move.
Nice.
Classic move.
Well, he's, as you can see, going in between lanes, possibly down the wrong side of the
Again,
road.
none of this is safe. This is
Say it to the other people,
this
right?
is not safe for
He's
anybody
just
involved.
cutting across an intersection.
Gronk's
there.
fine.
As
I'll tell you
this
right now.
video ends, he is just illegally cutting across an intersection.
What'd you guys
Jeez,
do?
what is with you guys in laws today?
Do me the favor, please. Just do me the favor. Find for me whether electric bike hospitalizations are up. They must be. They have to be. Because I'm constantly hearing bikes that weren't meant to move that fast, that are heavy, moving at a high rate of speed, making a noise that makes them like vehicles that if you crash on them, you're going to break bones.
Then, I don't know if you know this, so in Santa Monica, hospitalizations did go up. They ended up having to ban these things. But it wasn't what you think. It wasn't because people were crashing. It's because the users would get done, and then they would splay them all over the sidewalk, and elderly people walking would trip over them. And so there was an increase in hospitalizations due to that, not because of people.
I don't believe that story you're telling.
No, I do.
No, that is ridiculous. You're going to have to get out of here. No, get out of here. That story's not in any
Major
way
penalty,
true.
5 minutes, screaming comedy.
You happy you're making this up?
Why would he make that up?
As a cheap ploy to get Greg Cody involved?
He had to say elderly. You couldn't just say people were tripping over. You had to use the phrase
Chris,
elderly.
give me some hospital numbers before I get to Billy here, because Billy did something that seemed really kind and began our workday today with applause. Billy got a hero's welcome today for coming in and bringing gifts with him.
E-bikes compared to traditional bicycles between 2017 and 2022. Injuries doubling annually and hospitalizations increasing by 43-fold between 2017 and 2022. I have no idea what 43-fold. I imagine that means 43 times.
Gory.
That's crazy, though.
I'm looking and I'm seeing between 2020 and 2021 there was a massive spike in hospitalizations. Doesn't say for what, though.
Could have been bug bites.
There were more scooters around back then. And then the local governments had to rein it in.
Yeah.
Billy, why did you get applause when you walked in today? You were beaming. You were radiant.
I don't do things for applause, but I came in and I had a tray of some pastelitos that I wanted to come and bring my coworkers, my colleagues here, dare I say friends, this morning for breakfast. Now, as you can see, it's still there. It seems like it was untouched, so I'm kind of regretting bringing that. Doesn't seem like anyone really wanted them.
Look, I inhaled about 3 or 4.
I feel like every once in a while we get this type of thing where somebody brings a little something they had from their house, a little something from the weekend. And I feel like a lot of times it's just trying to clear shit out of your house, right? You have like this in your in your kitchen, and you're like, I'm never gonna eat these. I gotta get rid of them. Just bring them to your office. All right.
I don't understand that.
That's how the conversation
Good
happens.
gesture. I don't think that you have to go and start questioning whether or not I had a party yesterday and it was left over, so I decided to bring them into the office. Look, here's the thing. Those could have gone to my wife's office. They came to this office. I did.
I'm not
appreciate
complaining.
you.
I do the same thing.
She got the bocaditos.
I do the same thing.
Can I ask you a question about bocaditos?
Yeah.
Because
I'm not a fan. That's why I didn't bring
I
them.
like bocaditos, and I tried something for the first time at a birthday party on Friday. I think the Cuban finger food is elite. It's right up there with charcuterie in terms of best finger food. The Cuban bocaditos, what's that paste in the middle of the two sweet breads? It's
Bocadito
magical.
spread.
Okay, so that's magical.
Yeah, you could buy that. You put that on anything.
One thing that I had on Friday that I had never thought of doing before was putting a croqueta in between the slices. It changed my life.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried this? It never even. I never could even comprehend that this was a possibility. I separated the finger foods, combining them, making a little croqueta sandwich.
They're very small, the buns, though.
It's perfect.
You had to get the mini one.
Trendsetter.
Yeah, but you get like the mini croquetas that are also part of. When you have parties, like they shrink the size of the croqueta. If you've never done this before and you're Cuban, try it. It'll rock your world, and you'd be wondering, why haven't I tried this before?
Well, you've just mentioned something that I can't believe that it was such a part of my cultural upbringing that I had sort of overlooked it without even thinking about it before right now, which is, I'd put up Cuba's finger foods against every other culture's. I'd put it up, and I'd go all in with Cuban finger foods, but I had never considered, yes, of course, they're magical and wonderful and everything else. I had just never considered that there would be that they would be that kind of elite. Like, who else is challenging Cuban finger
Charcuterie boards.
foods?
Like the French would probably say, like, our little finger food spreads are up there. The Italians might suggest it, even though they're very similar.
Just cheese.
How do we
just
classify finger foods?
Right. I mean,
what
if-
do we consider?
Are we talking pigs in the blanket, mozzarella sticks?
Is popcorn chicken a finger food? Who invented that?
Even though mozzarella sticks are kind of Italian, I lump them in with American fare. And I would say the medal stand as I have it is, who do we give credit to the charcuterie board? Let's say France. France, Cubans, Americans when it comes to finger food fare.
But I'll go pigs in the blanket over a charcuterie board.
A what?
Well, but this is the thing, though. You
I'm
have
refined.
no palate or taste for like fine cheeses, right? You wouldn't know what the difference between a $10 cheese is and an $80 cheese.
I know,
right?
I know cheese.
Yeah,
Look at
he
me.
knows cheese.
That's just the prosciuttos and these thin meats. Just a
I
little
love those
overrated.
thin meats.
Come on, man.
It's fine. Once again, I did this with barbecue food. It's fine, but it gets celebrated like it's this
How dare
next
you.
coming of Jesus.
Little-
It's just
How about a little fig jam?
All right. I need more.
Yes.
I need more culture here in the room. I need to know if we're because I'm all of a sudden ready to rank Cuban finger foods as the finest of all the finger foods, and of course charcuterie boards would rival that. But now, if I'm asking third place, some culture that's vying for this particular distinction, saying no, ours are the finest of the finger foods, because you guys just basically mentioned a bunch of Friday's appetizers, is what you guys did.
Exactly.
You guys just
What do
did
we-
like
what
potato
do we do with
skins.
sushi?
That's a great question, but it's often a main course. More often a main course than you do use chopsticks. However, the way that sushi was intended to be eaten was with the fingers.
No, but I think you guys are doing something here. Let's see if this is accurate. So, finger foods are all the foods that you eat with your fingers, because I don't think of sushi.
Then hot dog is one, or pizza.
I don't think of sushi as what it is that we're talking about. Sushi is a main dish. I'm talking about stuff that is never a main dish.
We're talking about
stuff that you could eat one at a time that is never a main
hors
dish.
d'oeuvres.
Sushi, not a main dish.
You don't think so?
Sushi is basically the Japanese version of the appetizer sample.
definitely a main
Yeah,
dish.
I agree.
All right, so
It's-
would you
it's-
consider it an hors d'oeuvre?
Yeah.
All right, so then where do you place it?
But you look at the menu, it's at the entree part of a menu when you go to a Japanese restaurant.
That's because we've allowed it to get to this place. But by itself, you have to eat so much sushi to be like, I'm full.
Yeah,
all
you
right,
gotta
so
eat
you be
10
the judge.
pieces.
Finger food or not?
Finger food, for sure.
All right, then
Grab it.
Then
pop
is it better than a charcuterie board or Cuban finger food?
Oh, sushi's number one.
Yeah?
Oh, no, no.
Better than mac and
Charcuterie.
cheese bites?
Charcuterie board.
Number one seed, baby.
This thing, like, obviously by definition, it's anything conveniently eaten with your fingers.
I do want to get back to the previous
wings.
accusation.
That's finger food.
That wings are a
Convenient.
finger food.
Wings are not a finger food. Here's the finger food. Finger food, this is the test. Can I eat it and go, and then I'm pretty clean? If I can do that, that's a finger food. If I was like, oh, I
It's a
got
gack.
sauce and stuff.
But it can't
no.
be sweet.
I like what you're doing
M&Ms are
there.
finger
Like,
food
sushi
then.
has sauces. Sushi.
But for the most part, you're not. Your hands aren't like. If you have a couple pieces of sushi, you can get away without.
You get the,
People, you don't eat sushi
Look
with
at
your
that.
hands.
Where's
I've
You
done
an
it.
animal?
I've done it.
That's the way
Like
that
that.
it was intended.
pick it up,
No.
Look it up.
pop it in, you're good. That's all you got to do. You pick it up, you pop it in, and
No, you pick it up, dip it in the
I
spicy
thought
mayo.
you pack it up, pack it in.
Wasabi.
let me begin. But then you're done. That's the test.
Let me
If it's a-
begin.
if it's a finger food,
Good timing.
Greg's right.
Craig,
Yeah, no, he's right.
Craig.
Nailed it.
Let me Martin.
Battle me, that's a sin. What are you talking about? Let's go.
hey, Greg, what'd you come to do?
Jump around,
Billy,
will you?
the accusation was made on
Yeah.
air and off because it came through my headset long before it was said here. Billy's Pastelitos are ... from this weekend's party. And so, for some reason, when you were getting applause, I didn't think anybody saw that as anything other than a nice gesture. Billy brought in food, but what Billy brought in was he's cleaning out his fridge.
Leftovers.
No, I brought
That's
over.
fine with me.
I brought you guys food. I mean, I don't understand the problem here. It was nice.
It's a two birds with one stone situation. You were able to declutter your house and do a nice thing for us.
It was from yesterday, and so I mean, you assume when you go to the bakery they make them that day. You have no way of knowing.
That's super nice. That's considerate, making
Thank
sure
you.
nothing goes to waste, too. You're
It
doing
looks like
it-
they're going to waste, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah,
with
they
you.
haven't
That's-
been very
They're not
popular.
super fresh.
I'm pretty sure.
Gino will get
They're
to them.
delicious. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you
Give
ate.
Gino
Jason
time.
must not know, that they're there.
Roy will put some in his pockets, but you did.
Not an easy food to steal, by the way.
It's not.
Very
a lot
flaky.
of flakes. A lot of flakes. The crime scene is littered with an assortment of crumbs. those worse culprits than most. But not a lot of people have eaten them. I saw you eating too. Are you the only one who has eaten this gift you have now brought in that no one has had any of except for you?
It seems like I brought them for myself, but I can't eat all of those, so they'll stay there. I mean, they'll be there
Thank
tomorrow.
you, Billy. I don't mean to sound ungrateful about it.
Wait, I'm just checking. Am I the only person that did the bocadito with the croqueta in the middle?
Ever?
Like no one here has that experience, right?
No, yes,
How is this possible? We're all Cubans. We've been to countless parties where this Cuban finger food has been around, and we've never thought to combine the finger foods. Okay.
I have Greg Cody and his son. Are you guys? Let me see here. When I look at how different both kinds of South Florida are, and Panthers South Florida and Dade County South Florida, if we had a contest right now between the Codys where I asked you to name Cuban finger foods and you went back and forth, would you guys lose quickly because none of the local culture has ever reached you? So you guys choose charcuterie board because you can't name 4 Cuban finger foods? Like, if I went back and forth with you two, do you have enough Hispanic influence in your life to be able to play this game?
I think I could play it poorly.
I'm not a fan of. This is blasphemy. I'm not a huge fan of Cuban food.
I love Cuban food.
It
Right back at
probably
you, pal.
ranks 10th.
10th?
On my list of cuisine. Yeah.
Who are the 9 cuisines that are
Get
higher
this guy a
than Cuban
bistec
food?
empanizado, please. Thank you.
You think there are a lot of finger foods better than the croqueta?
I don't like croquetas. The pastelito I loved. I thought that was just great.
But that's a
flaky,
pastry.
flaky
That's not-
pastry.
That is a finger food.
It's magnificent.
It applies to the definition, and it's part of like, hey, just went to this bakery. We're having a birthday party. That's out on the tray. You can
Right.
get smaller ones.
I think a croqueta is one of the most overrated foods.
This is
Little
insulting.
No, I
tequeño.
do.
I can mess with a tequeño.
Look, I can't look at my friend this
Papa
way
Arellana?
anymore. I can't look at you
Yeah,
this
the
way.
truth hurts.
No, this is
Some
blasphemous.
like overrated.
No, I just
Can I tell you? It's like it's like a cheese stick. I mean, come on. What's wrong with that?
masa de puerco. Like, I don't believe that you know Cuban food. I believe that this is ignorance.
No.
Tequeño's Venezuelan, I think. so.
I love the costilla de puerco.
Yeah.
I get a couple of those whenever I go to my favorite restaurant that serves them, and it's great. It's pork chops, mojo. I made a mojo dish the other day. I don't know whether that's a Cuban thing or not.
Okay,
mojo,
that's
but
good. That's a good way to talk about Cuban food, is to not know what culture you're making. when you
Pastelitos
just-
de carne.
Is mojo
yes.
a Cuban?
Yeah,
thing?
I'm maybe
mojo.
if like we
Okay.
found a country of origin, it's not
It
Cuban,
could be
and that would
Spain.
be shocking.
It could be Spain.
That would be shocking because Cubans use mojo for a lot.
We love mojo.
It is.
Arroz con leche.
Mojo Raleigh.
Please stop doing that. Don't do that anymore. Thank you.
Oh, Raleigh.
Yes, Billy's just doing whatever he wants to over there. A little bit of Wild Willie Wednesday sneaking into our Monday.
Greg loves a Cuba Libre.
Oh,
Right, Greg?
Cuba Libre.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Coughlin's Law.
Let's play the game. Go ahead, Chris. You go one time. Give me a finger food that's Cuban.
Oh, I'm going to go. Croqueta.
Pastelito.
Bocadito.
Costilla de puerco.
You're cheating by using the only 2 you've known so far.
Chicharrón.
Oh man, let me think now.
You've lived here all your life.
I know.
I can go
don't
again.
prefer that kind of food. I'm sorry.
It's because you don't know it, is what I would argue
Right.
clearly.
And why wouldn't I know it?
Because
if
you
I
don't-
loved it, would I know it?
No, you've
That's
never
a great
tried it.
point.
You're not
Never
somebody
tried
who you can't name. I'm asking you to name foods.
Well, in his defense, there's like 3 of them.
Trozo de yuca.
Your son could go forever. Your son has had a lot.
Papa Rellana.
Perhaps he loves Cuban food more than I do.
Well, he loves all food. More than
Plátano maduro.
I like how he grabs onto the desk for support.
That's not a finger food.
He's scared.
It's too slimy.
Yeah, way too slimy.
Tostones.
Yes, it is.
You can't.
Tostones
can
is
be.
a finger
Chris,
food.
you can't do that. It's not a finger
Then
food.
what kind of
Mamaduro.
rule is
That's
this?
the
Too
rule.
sticky. That's a great rule.
It's a made-up rule.
That's a great rule.
No.
Papa
No.
frita.
Wings are a finger
French
food.
fries are not Cuban.
Chicken wing is a finger food.
But
you can't do that with a wing.
That's what I'm
King
saying.
wing.
I don't like
You
the
get a
rule.
sauce up wing, you gotta lick your fingers.
Oh, you gotta go. You need. If they gotta give you a moist towelette, it's not a finger food.
Yeah.
King wing.
He's
By the
right.
way, I like plantain chips with the garlic sauce.
There you go.
Does that
Yeah.
count?
Yeah, that's mojo.
All right.
Okay, there you go.
Mojo.
Chris's turn.
There you
now.
go.
It's mojo. It's the thing that you were talking about
Well,
now.
Where I on the rare occasion when I go to a Cuban restaurant, their plantain chips are served with
The mariquitas.
Yes, it's more of a garlicky sauce than it is mojo.
Every time I look over there, Chris, you might as well be dressed like a flamenco dancer. Every time I'm here, you just you just hit me with more and more Spanish when I don't know who's feeding you there.
Elena Cruz.
See how he's grabbing a desk? Like,
But he's scared.
Like he'll
He's
collapse.
I see that his sphincter is tight because he's not confident doing comedy in Spanish.
In empanada.
Roy, give me, after 3 hours of chewing that gum, give me as much Connor McDavid analysis as you possibly can, please.
I can't right now. My mouth hurts. I'm sorry.
you look like you have grills made out of bubble gum.
I'm Paul Wall right now.
Your jaw is going to hurt. Yes,
Yeah.
Your
It already
jaw-
does.
Your jaw will hurt tomorrow, and
Yes.
it will be. But so you can't give me spoken analysis. You're just trying to get to the end of the show because this gum hasn't gotten any smaller while you chew it for 3 hours.
That is correct.
Are you in these punishments are always worse than you think they are. Congratulations on doing it, by the way. Chris Cody weaseled his way. He didn't actually complete it. You took on his penalty because Chris Cody failed to get to the end of it because he said it was too much. So congratulations on being less of a coward than he is.
Thank you, Dan.
Arroz emparejado.
That's not good. That would have been good if your ass hadn't gotten tight, but your ass got tight because you got scared, and so you're going to have to leave.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, asshole.
I wanted to ask you guys something that I forgot to ask you during the local hour when we were talking about how quickly architecture can change in the modern age of, you're doing finger food, this. But, Celtics? Okay, going to wrap that up. How did the Knicks do it? I was a little surprised, perhaps I should not have been, that what was for a bright flash across the sky, somehow the most exciting time in Dolphin football in 25 years, to sort of casually learn, Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey, that's both going to be casualties, that whatever you were trying to do with those guys, they're probably not going to be around to do whatever the rest of that is. And so a very quick time in Dolphins football turns around with two players were good and successful here that you better not have gotten too attached to. And by the way, great run by Jalen Ramsey. Like, they got a lot of good football out of him, long past what would or should be the prime for somebody at that position. But I was just curious what you guys thought of two name productive players during what has been the most exciting time in Dolphin football in 25 years are now going to be gone soon, and they won you nothing, and you wasted their time, and you wasted your money, and nothing positive happened in terms of winning, meaningful winning.
Yeah, that Dolphin, the heydays of the Dolphins didn't last long. It took about a minute and a half. Back 2 years ago it was, when they scored 70 points against Denver, and the offense with Tyreek Hill is the talk of the league, right? Mike McDaniel wears the genius hat for a year. Now, the over-under on wins is like 8. They play 17 games. They're going to struggle to be a 500 team, let alone make the playoff. What happened? Part of it is that Tua can't stay healthy and misses a lot of games. But with Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey, both are older players, it's almost as if they're in a rebuild, without ever having gotten anywhere. They're like starting over
and
again.
with the same GM in charge.
Right. I mean,
you can't do it you can't do 7 years you can't be back at rebuild.
McDaniel and Chris Greer are coaching and general managing for their jobs this year. There's no question about that. There's going to be huge turnover if they fail this season.
Jonnu's on a very team-friendly deal. Now, he does have value because it's only $4.8 million. He doesn't really eat into their cap. If they were truly rebuilding, why is Tyreek Hill not long gone. What are they going to do with their wide receivers? They have a lot of big contracts on their books. I think this is the result of them having to pay Tua, and you're going to have to say goodbye to some guys that were productive. You don't often have to say goodbye to guys that are on good contracts the way that Jonnu is. I know that Jonnu behind the scenes has been asking for a new contract to reflect his season last year, which was a very good season.
But the reality is Tyreek Hill isn't worth what he was 2 years ago. And the Marlins are finding this out with Sandy Alcantara, whose ERA was 8 last time I looked. They're trying to trade him. The market has plummeted. Tyreek Hill, I don't know what they're going to get for him if they trade him. And there is that speculation that he could be gone. But what are you going to get for Tyreek Hill? A third-round pick, a third and a seventh? I mean, he's worth more to you than he is in trade right now, which wouldn't have been the case 2 years ago.
I can't be friends with Greg Cody if he thinks Croquetas are overrated. I can't be.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
can't be. No,
Yeah,
I can't
they
be.
are.
I can't be.
Yeah.
No.
Pan con pinga.